Okay, we're live on that one thing now.
Try that one thing.
That one thing.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Political Head Trauma for you people that we're live with
Second,
right
why
now.
isn't this firing up? Okay. Keep talking to people while I
I am your
do some
host,
adjusting.
Holly Crowley Rayboni, and this is Jared Anderson. And we are so excited that you are joining us tonight, this last day of January in the year of our Lord 2025.
Well, it's been such a wild January, too.
The last 2 weeks, y'all.
Do they get any heavier?
Those of you that have been following along at home with the Senate and doing all the committees to pick the leadership, that's been wild.
Yeah.
And did you see Robert Kennedy Jr. call out? He literally called out Bernie Sanders.
I did not.
Bernie Sanders
Tell me more.
Was pushing him to try to say, are you going to give health care to every American? Basically, because he's a communist and that's what they do. But
yeah.
He then is trying to get him to say that. And when Robert Kennedy got his opportunity, he said, you know what, Bernie? It's interesting that you're calling me out because I want to make America healthy right from the ground up. And you're the number one senator that gets money from Big Pharma.
Really?
He's number one. He gets 1.6 million from Big Pharma, which makes Bernie go, blah, blah, blah. That's citizens, sir. Citizens who work in the industry. Well, I'm sorry. When you donate to anything, do you put the industry that you're working from? You can put your employer, you put your employer. But no, that's Big Pharma and Elizabeth Warren too.
That is.
They're all out. The list is out. I should look it up.
Oh.
Because to see the top donors for their campaigns and his number one donor, Big Pharma. So I thought it was a great a great mic drop moment for Bernie Sanders.
Why would Big Pharma? Oh, well, because they would stand to make money. Now, I'm sure for a minute, my mind was blanking, thought insurance companies, but Big Pharma would definitely want to give to him because that's forced, if we went under his everybody single payer health care, everyone would be forced to go to them for everything. So I get it.
Hi from the Czech Republic, Thomas. Hi. Thank you for tuning
Thomas.
in. It's from cradle to grave that Big Pharma can be rich. If they got from vaccines, which I'm not against vaccines, people. I'm saying that clearly. I just think we need to look and take a look. The numbers are showing a lot of changes in our healthcare across the United States from when we were kids. And there's a big change in the amount of vaccines that are given to children now versus back then. And I don't see a problem with looking into it. And I think it's important. And I've listened to the mRNA doctor, the researcher that invented the mRNA vaccine. And I said it last week. They want to make it an AI version to treat cancer or be a cancer vaccination. And I'm very skeptical because he even says that the vaccine could very well cause cancer by the way it pools in the body. So let's take a step back and let's do some research. Maybe AI can do that research. We have 4 years of people being vaccinated with it, and maybe we should do studies on those people who were vaccinated and let's get some information. Does it pool in tissue? Does it pool in your reproductive organs? But for Robert Kennedy Jr. to get so harassed by his own side.
Well, that's probably why they harass him more, because he left their side.
Trump used to be on their side.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Tulsi
was on their side.
Tulsi gets it hard. it's, I don't know. Well, the Kash Patel one was pretty, I think he'll be the hard one to get through. Honestly.
Kash Patel, yeah, they were really tough on him.
Mm-hmm.
But can I just point out something? The left claims to believe that people of color and women and people with disabilities all need to be involved.
As long as they're not Republican.
Exactly. Kash Patel is not a Republican, but he's a person of color. Tulsi is a woman, also a person of color, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And Robert Kennedy Jr. is got a disability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Democrats love their minorities as long as there's no democracy involved.
And then I know Democrats that are fear-mongering the immigrants in this country.
Oh man, has
saying they're going to rip you out of your bed.
Facebook's been the best.
Oh,
I've had so many people unfriending me for just like, someone posted a picture of a Tesla that had a swastika painted on the hood, and look at this, that'll show Elon. And I said, you're supporting someone destroying someone else's private property to send a message to a third person?
Right. The person who designed that property?
Yeah. And well, he's a Nazi. Okay. That didn't answer my first question. Well, you Trumpers.
Right. There's no.
I didn't say anything, but
response.
I just said, why are you supporting someone destroying a third party's equipment, property? I don't know. It's all good. But anyways, no, it is interesting. The crazy thing, and I've got to get these sharing out before I say this.
Okay. Because
something has boiled me over this last couple weeks.
Something grinded your gears?
Grinded my gears.
Look at that shirt you're wearing. Can we just show the audience for a minute?
Zoom in on this.
That is a great
sexiness
shirt. It's got a lot of pew-pews all over it.
A lot of stuff.
And ammo and snakes. The don't tread on me snake.
Mm-hmm.
The flag. I mean, where did you get that?
Amazon, like everyone else. I mean, where do you buy clothes now? Is there still closed stores?
I think so.
Do you?
There's a great thrift store just right down the main street.
They wouldn't sell this in that thrift store.
Thomas says, was only Kilgate's business for your autoimmune system. Take medical mushrooms.
Reishi, cordyceps, camu. A lot of people died after mRNA vaccinations here. They've noticed a lot of younger people, younger athletic people dying from older unathletic people problems. We'll just put it like that. That's a good way to put it.
I just think we didn't know what we didn't know, but right now, how do we? Somebody did a meme that I saw that we just pardon science. How do you pardon science? Because remember, Fauci said, "I am science" when he was being interviewed in front of Congress, and he got a pardon. Science in itself is always learning, always changing. Do you guys remember when you were young and butter was bad for you?
It is.
And yet your grandmothers all had butter on their kitchen table.
And that's all I cook
and
with.
Then they changed it. Margarine is bad for you. And now it's back to butter. Eggs, same thing.
Yeah, eggs. I got a funny story about eggs in a minute too. Let me get this boiling off my chest real quick. Okay, so someone in Biden's administration filled out some paperwork to pardon Fauci. I'm not going to say Biden pardoned him because we all know he did not. I mean, Biden probably just, huh? And someone held his wrist.
Biden knows he's not president?
I don't think Biden knew he was president.
Doesn't know if it's chocolate or Tuesday.
I mean, anyways, the CIA came out with a report back in like October. The CIA came out and said, they done their, CIA craft in China, yes, the coronavirus came from Wuhan lab. And Biden decides not to release that information for months. He sits on it. And then he pardons Fauci when the CIA, in their information, it comes out, yeah, Fauci and EcoHealth Alliance and Tom Daszak and everyone else, they're all implicating it. If I was going to write a fictional,
no one would believe it,
super spy story, I would write it that there's a biolab in a gray area enemy country, and the inner party of the state, the dark political state, wants to overthrow their opposing elected leader of the state. So what they do is they release this bioweapon on the world, and then everyone that he relies on for his information in it is his adversary. So they all work against him to make him look at the very least guilty, but more, they make him kind of look foolish.
Oh yeah.
And then he gets unelected, but they have such a short bench because it's on the high top of the pendulum swing. And whenever your party's on the high top of your pendulum swing, you have grown weak and you're invertebrates. Just like the Republican Party was at the high top of theirs. What did they have? George Bush? That was the high top.
George H. Bush?
No, George Bush.
Oh, W.
W. That's when you reach the high top of your pendulum swing, you get a person that Joe Rogan makes a joke. The joke was the people in the inner state says, I want to try going dumber. Because George Bush is or comes across as that moron. So just remember this. Democrats, you saw it. Republicans, here in 20 years, you're going to reach the high part of your pendulum swing because I have no faith that I'll be able to stop you from going past.
You're saying we need to keep good people running for office.
No, it's not about that.
Get complacent.
It's not about that. When you're in power, you grow weak. You're not hungry. You're not challenged. You're not challenging yourself. You get into these weird things like we want to force them to study the Bible in biology. That's what the Republicans did that threw them out of the top of their pendulum. The Democrats have gone and says, we want boys that transitioned a week ago at the age of 35 to compete against 12-year-old girls in sports. That's where we're at. Because when you're in the strength, you're not challenged. That's why you don't want free speech. In 20 years, the Republicans will be calling to stop free speech. Mark my words. Just like the Democrats have.
Okay, well, aren't you a ray of sunshine this afternoon?
But that's what's got me fired up is they knew about the Wuhan lab 3 months ago, and they've been sitting on it.
3 months. I mean, I think they've known longer.
Okay, yeah, but the CIA came out with their secret spies, figured it out, by breaking into stuff. Oh, that's
Did David Weiss put out a new video?
Those are TikToks that he puts out.
Well, I don't have TikTok.
No, you don't, but I do.
But this is great.
Yeah.
Go to Political Head Trauma on Facebook or TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. And you can watch
Thank you, David.
Shorts. Yes, he's been doing it the whole time. He keeps asking you. Did you see the new video?
Oh, we have to do a photo, by the way.
Oh, yeah, we got to.
I've never seen a video
I'm wearing
from
a
TikTok.
good shirt for the photo, huh?
Shoot, I'm wearing slippers because that's what I do.
Well, we'll not do the photo from the feet up. We'll do them from the waist up. Anyways, but yeah, so that's boiling me over. That they hide something so significant. Fred says Jared is jaded. Yes.
Hi, Fred.
Jared is very jaded. That just they withhold something. Let me put it like this, folks. Economic warfare was committed upon our nation that destroyed at least 20 years of economic growth in our nation. And it was done by people in our own government. You guys drink that in, do with it what you will, but that's what happened. So drink that in. After Barack Obama made it illegal to do the crap that Fauci was doing, Fauci did it. Why did Fauci get pardoned going back to 2014?
It's very telling, isn't it?
It's very telling. So, and seems like 2014 is kind of a watershed year. So everybody, the world, economic warfare was committed on the whole world.
Yes.
By shadowy parts
millions died
of our government that disagreed with the democratic outcomes of the 2016 election. You guys drink that in.
What a hissy
if
fit
it's
they
not
threw.
time right now, Trump shutting down the government has me ecstatic. What is it called? Priapism? Is that what it's called? For anyone who's in the know, just know what I just said. I haven't felt this happy about something in forever. Just him shutting down the government, him saying no more money for you guys to spend, him saying you guys, kick rocks. And I'm sorry, if you're a government person that's kicking rocks, I'm sorry, you get caught up in the mix. Go compete on the market. But our government destroyed us. Our government destroyed. How many young men right now are struggling through school? How many kids are having a hard time with learning problems? How many people lost their businesses, lost their life savings, lost it all so that people like Fauci could be mad scientists and try to rule the world? If I can't think of a more dire need for tar and feathers. I just can't think
You remind me of Rand Paul right now. I can only imagine what Rand Paul must have thought when that pardon came across, because Rand Paul was upfront.
The sole
Fauci
voice
lied to the Senate, and Rand Paul kept saying, that is funded research. That the United States government paid for it under your leadership, and that was a biological weapon. You know how it got out.
Yep.
And it's there. That's not the only lab, folks. They've got them all over the world that we know of.
Where's one that we know of right now?
Ukraine.
In the Ukraine.
Oh, Thomas says, you already know the corrupt Biden families made enough money in Ukrainian labs with tests that are not allowed in the States. I'm glad that now under Kennedy, some things are coming to light. I'm just hoping that these guys get through. And at the end of the day, if they're horrible at their job, I hope that Trump has the backbone and the confidence to say, nope, you're out. I made a mistake. Trump's not good at saying I made a mistake.
What does he have to lose? What does he have to lose?
Absolutely.
This is Trump. If you're listening to this.
Oh, he is.
It's not like you can run again. This is it. You need to wreck the system that's holding back progress. I'm telling you, if it wasn't for the government, we'd have flying cars right now.
You're probably right. Look at the technology age in the last 100 years, and then there was a dead stop.
Yep. Well, imagine if the government said we're going to take over cell phones 20 years ago. The Nokia would be the height of American experience.
Right.
I know we need it, but anyway, so for tonight's show, it's a very exciting show. We've got Patrick Oldle coming on. Patrick Oldle is he teaches martial arts, combatives, overall badassery. And he just got back from Africa doing some training over there. But he plies his expertise in hunting down and rescuing hunting down sex traffickers and rescuing sex trafficking victims. So he's coming on at 7:00 to chat about that and tell some of his, maybe some juicy stories, some fun stuff. Blood and hair stuck on walls of pedophiles. Okay. Sounds good to me. But anyways, before that, we have Nicolene Peck. She's my local representative here in the state of Utah.
And I got to go to the Capitol this week.
Mm-hmm.
And for Braver Angels, which is a great organization, and we'd love to talk more about
yes.
them.
Yes,
And
we need to have them on
yes.
soon.
And so I was there with Braver Angels. And after that meeting, I just talked to your representative, Nicolene, and said, hey, can I visit? She was sitting on the committee regarding the nuclear power here in Utah. And I was so excited that your representative is on that board.
Yes.
And so I went and watched some of that and then got to see her office. And then she let me know about a bill that she's running. I mean, she's hitting the ground running, guys.
How's her office? Is it a cool office?
It's great.
Is
and
it
she needs, you know what she needs? She needs a quilt. A Tooele County quilt.
We need to do Tooele City. She represents mostly Tooele City and a little bit down into is it
but
Juab
she's
County.
So great at
she's
hometown support, and she so badly wants to hear from her people. She wants to hear from all of you. And she's running a bill that I'll let her explain, but regarding curriculum here in the state for sex ed. And I thought this was handled years ago, and we've even talked about it on this show, but I don't want to take any thunder. So I'm so excited that she's going to join us for half an hour, and she'll be tuning in remotely because this woman is working. Well, I mean, everyone is working.
Session's going on right now.
Yes.
So we're in the middle of session. Of course, over the next month, we're going to have all of any representative we can get, but we're going to definitely have our local ones on to tell us about what came out of session, things
if we're lucky, because they're so busy
that we need to know.
And I mean, they get there right at the crack of dawn, and they're there till it just depends on how late it goes. And I mean, we ran around the Capitol. It was so much walking, and we got to go through the tunnels and all of that. I highly recommend going. And what we'd like to do tonight is if this topic means something to you, hopefully Nicolene can tell us how we can support her. Because the left is coming out and they're bringing everyone they can. And I know this because she shared a Tribune article with me regarding her bill, already bashing her. And what's crazy is it's written from the perspective of Planned Parenthood. And so it was so blatant.
Did you ever see that video that Babylon Bee put out where Satan meets at the table with all of his Democrat cronies? And you didn't see it? Oh my gosh.
Was that misinformation?
They just do little skits, but it's great.
I love
the devil's like talking to the pro-abortion person and like killing babies. I mean, I love it. I love the feeling, but do you have to be so loud about it?
Yeah. I mean, this is an organization that not only
that's why we lost
killing, but it also sells body parts.
I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it and send it to you. Matter of fact, I'm going to find it. Everyone go to Political Head Trauma, Facebook, wherever. I'm going to share it on there. If you haven't seen it, it is the Babylon Bee.
They're
knocks it out of the park. Like the guy, he's painted red, has little horns.
He's like, even for me, brother.
You haven't seen that, and it was all over X. Write the link and the date of your show so that I can invite more people. It's a pity that so few people can't listen to your interesting debate. We do our show every Friday.
6 to 8. Well, you say every Friday, but we have messed around a little bit.
Well, we missed when I was in DC.
Election stuff. But thank you, Thomas. Thank you for sharing. And if you do like the show and you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
Yep.
It does help. You'll get that notice, and you can join us live on YouTube, or you can watch it archived on YouTube and Facebook, as well as Rumble and KMMU, Main Street Media on YouTube as well.
Yep. And on Rumble as well.
So we want you to
hold on.
Please like and subscribe, because it's help us get the word out. And hopefully, I know that Jared and I's whole mission for this show is to learn and to help you learn and educate, because at the end of the day, an educated voter is the best voter. It really is. And right now, this country is awake. Our neighbors are awake. These issues have got us all in tune. I don't want that to go away. We have to stay at the wheel, and we really, really have to show our electeds what we want, because if we don't, that's how they run and just do what they think you want.
Yes.
Let's be vocal. Let's engage with them. And by all means, we want you to engage with us. So please leave your comments if you like, and we will get to them.
Yes, yes.
So,
sorry, I've got to fix some stuff, so you'll have to tend to the comments on there while I.
Well, and I think it's really interesting this time that we're in. I'm just sitting here, just like you. I'm so excited since January 20th. I feel like the sun is brighter. I feel like there's more hope in people.
Seriously.
My husband's industry, I think we're going to see turnaround in a number of different industries that will make a good economy is literally the answer to so many of our problems. Depression and poverty and health, economics. I mean, a friend of mine shared a picture today of eggs she went to go buy. They were $11. Can I just bring us back to Fauci and the bird flu now that is the big thing? And you can see it reflected in the price of eggs. We
seriously
have to stop being run by fear. And we really need to look inside to ourselves, to our families, and decide how, because we're all going to hurt when the government stops, somebody is going to hurt. And eventually it gets to your program, it gets to your thing. And you have to be ready, because freedom is really tough. And Nicolene has spelled it out perfectly on many occasions of how independence really is. But also, when you really are prepared for it, when you're inside your family's got food and you've got a plan, and you know what your kids are learning, and you know what your politicians are doing, and you're engaged, that freedom is really, really special.
It's
and
delicate.
It's what makes America so special. And we need everybody to stay on board and hopefully engage.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and Nicolene, everyone, I mean, I dig Nicolene. Her whole project is making people who can govern themselves. Right?
Making children from the time they're young until they're great grandparents, that they're governing themselves. And I'm going to reach out to her really quickly and make sure.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. We're lucky to have her. And we were lucky to have who was before. We may be getting Tim Jimenez. Yep. Okay. Got that solved. Sorry, everyone on Rumble. We had a hard time coming through, but we're on now. So
can I get back to the fear mongering for a second?
Please.
On Facebook, even my own family members, I'm telling you right now, I appreciate that empathy for immigrants. I do. I have very good friends that have immigrated to this country. I don't want you to be afraid. None of us are going to stand there and watch government drag you out of your beds in the middle of the night and harass you and papers, please. This is, and there's so many news articles, they're trying to terrify you. Right now, there is a mandate. Go after the criminals, and the states need to open up their prisons that have these criminals, and Trump is trying to figure that out. I understand it's messy.
We do need to get the criminals out. We do. Why would we want criminals here? We'll deal with the whatever later, but let's get the criminals out. Thomas, are you the one I met in DC a couple weeks back with Dave? I think that's Thomas. Oh, yeah.
Follow our side, www.liberland.org.
Yeah,
Regards from Europe, and thanks, MAGA supporter Thomas. Thomas, Liberland is, as you guys, we've actually discussed it on the show
lots of times.
And David Weiss, our co-host from afar, he actually is a citizen, isn't he?
Yes.
See?
I think he's a.
And what we need to do,
ambassador.
honestly, is we need to get our immigration system figured out. And if they decide to make it so that if you're born in the country and they change those laws, you guys, you're going to have to grandfather in those that were born in the country. And if your father or mother is an American citizen, you are an American citizen. This fear mongering is, to me, evil. It's meant to divide and terrify people.
It's meant to try to drum up support for their side. Look, I get it. Both sides fear monger at certain times.
She didn't get the email.
She didn't. All right. Tell her it'll be on her messenger. I get it. Everyone fear mongers. I have been known.
She just found it, she said.
Okay. Never mind. Sorry. Guys.
You guys are getting behind the scenes.
Yes. This is the in-depth. I've been known to fear monger about, two-way stuff, talking about how, I haven't been wrong about it yet, but I've been known to fear monger. And also when a Democrat comes out and says something positive about guns or the First Amendment, I call him out for it. I called Biden out when he said during the debates when was it, in 2019, when he was arguing against Kamala and Buttigieg. Was it Buttigieg? I think it was. We can't just take away guns. It's the Second Amendment. I come on this show and I said, hey, Biden said that, there's a voice of reason. The one voice of reason on that stage.
Oh, when Trump wanted to ban the bump stocks,
and
came out then as well.
I will call him out on that.
It is not about the person; it's about the policy.
Yep. And I know everyone is about to kick that old dead horse, but I am single issue right now, and my single issue is First Amendment, Second Amendment to protect the First, Fourth Amendment. And honestly, I want to see someone bring the 10th Amendment around, because that's a big thing to me right now, too.
Is that all?
Well, all of the amendments, really.
Yeah, your fifth.
The third, it's not that important, I guess.
I think at this time, we need to just look towards the future and have some hope. Also, we pray for the folks that were killed in DC.
Oh, how crazy was that?
That was horrific. I hope that we get to the bottom of that investigation.
Well, it sounds okay. Here's what I'm understanding thus far. Oh, Nicolene's here. Okay, we can deal with all that.
Can I just say though, how many times Trump has been in front of the media with every issue?
It's like he never left.
Right?
Okay, everyone. Here's Nicolene Peck. She is the representative for Tooele.
Look how cute that.
And that is a lovely office. That is a well-adorned office. You got the black and white the black
She's
and white going on. That's what Katie would like.
She's got a gorgeous painting that she commissioned herself right behind her desk, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Can you show?
This is a different office, but yeah.
Oh,
isn't that beautiful?
Oh, nice. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
That is.
What do you mean it's a different office?
Well, I'm not at the Capitol.
You're at home, but that's the original, the OG, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you got to get home on a Friday night. Well, I know we don't have a lot.
Not for last Friday. I didn't get home till like 10 p.m. But this Friday, here I am. So excited.
So I didn't tell exactly what the bill was. I just said it's regarding our education and Planned Parenthood. I would love to give you the floor. And this is your bill, and you're already taking a lot of heat off of it from the left. And I love it. I'm here for it. So please share.
Yeah, I've actually been taking heat on a couple of bills lately, but we'll just talk
about. You have a lot
that.
as a freshman.
I do. I think I have the most of any freshman. Not any freshman ever. I'm sure there were others that have done way better than I've done. I'm not going to put myself on that little pedestal, but of the freshmen that we have right now, I am the most familiar with the process because of all the years of advocacy work and working within that system and knowing how it works, what comes next, and what to do. So I wasn't as lost as a lot of people might normally be when they come into a new situation like that. That doesn't mean I haven't had any moments of being lost. I mean, you just sit in your first appropriations committee and go, like, what happened? anyway,
not to mention the tunnels that are under the Capitol. I mean, literally lost. I was. I'm just glad you were there.
True. Yeah. So the Salt Lake Tribune apparently just really wanted to give my bill some attention this week. So that was nice.
I thought they fired Brian Schott. Why are they coming so hard against Logic? Do you hear he's filing a lawsuit against you guys?
Like, what do you mean against you guys? Against me?
Or against the government because he wants to be a government journalist again.
Okay, but we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Okay,
Kudos, though, Brian. Well done.
Way to go on that information. Okay, so yeah, I mean, basically, I should probably just start with the story of how this all began. This bill, it's called it's like just school curriculum amendments. Is kind of, just a plain old name, but because it's going to change the way some of the curriculum's done at the school. But I'm not necessarily targeting Planned Parenthood, although Planned Parenthood, in their article that they did at the Salt Lake Tribune, I mean, really, it was a feature Planned Parenthood article that was a target at my bill, basically, is what the article was. But they even claimed in their article, they're like, for what we know, we're the only ones who this bill targets. And the bill basically says that if you're an elective abortion provider, so I'm not talking about any old doctor and nurse who is going to do women's health or anything else, but an elective abortion provider, or if you're funded by an elective abortion provider, then you can't teach in the schools, in Utah schools. And the reason why is because we actually have in code already language that says that you can't advocate for abortion. Well, if we are bringing in curriculum from abortion people, if we're bringing in people who work with an abortion company, with an elective abortion provider, if an elective abortion provider who makes $15 million in a year on their abortions and such is in a school who really has, I'm not saying they're nefarious in targeting the children. I'm not even going to say that. I'm just saying that it doesn't look great for the schools to be allowing someone who makes monies off of teens getting pregnant to teach about sex ed, right? Like that just doesn't
logic.
Seem like a conflict of interest.
Yeah. And to be fair, our state actually, it's not just abortion. They don't teach a lot of things. They teach abstinence, and they'll teach contraception. My daughter just got her paper that I had to sign, and I was reading through what the law is. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that a 501c3 could be given front row seats to our kids in curriculum.
Well, so see, this is another thing too, that you really have to, I mean, even though they're a 501c3, so you could say they're a nonprofit, they're a charity, they make a ton of profit. And if you look at even their own reports that they put out for people, I probably got it here somewhere. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Anyway, if you look at their own reports that they put out, I mean, they list where they make their money. I mean, so their abortions, they did, this was in 2023, I guess, 2,123 abortions, I mean, that's a lot. Is that
Planned Parenthood nationally or just?
Oh, this is just Utah. Yeah, this is just the Utah. This is just Planned Parenthood of Utah.
What if we just had the polygamists come and teach sex ed instead? How would Planned Parenthood feel about that? If we sponsor, we'll have the polygamists come in, and they can, here's where you cut the hole in the sheet or whatever they do.
Okay.
But
I don't even want to go there. I don't even know
why not the University of Utah Health, or why not somebody who actually?
Okay, well, so let's talk about the facts. Okay, let's talk about the facts. So you probably read the article, right?
Yes.
You read the article.
I did not. So Holly can refresh me.
Well, she'll refresh
later.
I was gonna show you the page where it shows the earnings. I've got to find that.
I will share the article on
anyway, so there's a page that lists the earnings, but it's like, it's like $15 million a year or somewhere around there, 14 something, it's high, almost to 15 kind of a thing. Anyway, I'm not finding the page right in front of me.
I
It's
could
probably
buy
That's okay.
so
That's
many
okay.
tar and feathers.
yeah, but anyway, so this is what they do. But then they also have a whole page that talks about their education programs that they work on for education. And so it says, through our research-based education programs, we work to provide all Utahns with the accurate, reliable information. Who declares it accurate or reliable? That's very interesting. I mean, that's just a self-proclamation right there.
Well,
But
and also,
responsible
let me ask this.
decisions
Let me
and
ask the
stay
common
healthy.
sense.
Which, what does that mean exactly? And to make responsible decisions. That's kind of like interesting language, because decisions has a lot to do with abortion, doesn't it? Anyway,
Yeah.
and contraceptive and whatever and different things. In 2020, so they're saying that's what they're working on. In 2023, our educators continued with innovative teaching across Utah, virtually and in person. Program participants were 6,387. And here's your elementary school, middle school, high school. Anyway,
Hold on. Hold that back up, because the elementary school one had a comma.
Yeah,
elementary school's till 4th grade, right?
No, fifth
no,
out
6th.
here.
Yeah, 5th
And then
or 6th.
6th.
5th and 6th. Okay,
Yeah,
6th
usually,
grade.
I mean, some of them are 6th, some of them are 5th. Depends where you live.
So they're starting to teach the little ones. Anyways, isn't it kind of weird that we're relying on someone to teach a program that, if they were successful, would be a negative impact on their
Own business.
bottom line?
Well, okay, so the thing is too, there's so many angles we could take with this. But the point is this, in the article, they said, hopefully you guys can still see me if I go and look at the page where
you froze, but we can hear you.
But in the article, they claimed, oh, can you? Okay, good. They claimed Rep Peck might think the purpose of her bill is to punish Planned Parenthood, which is not true at all. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just protecting children and trying to look out for their best interest, not creating a conflict of interests within the school, not creating putting a person in a position of trust that would create a future relationship that could lead to financial gain and ideological grooming. Okay? And anyway, it says, but others know the real impact will be felt by the parents of nearly 80,000 Utah students who, if her bill becomes law, will no longer have the option to provide their kids with age-appropriate sex education classes taught by our trained teachers. Okay, remember what they said in their thing? They said that they taught 6,387 participants in their program. In the Salt Lake Tribune, they said that the impact will be felt by nearly 80,000 students. So that's a big inconsistency there.
Are they talking about the teachers they trained under their curriculum to teach?
No,
health?
I haven't looked up how many students we have in the state, but maybe that's like their target market, or maybe that's like a percentage of the students they hope to hit, or
what
whatever,
if it's just the Tribune making up some crap like they tend to do all the time?
What do you mean?
So anyway, I mean, we could digest a lot of different things in that article that are not actually show that Planned Parenthood does have a plan in mind, because they said, let's see, they said, would you feel comfortable teaching these things? And then they said, it's really only us. We're the only ones that do this. It's 80,000 people that will be impacted by this, which isn't accurate information, which makes it sound like to the people who read that news article that Planned Parenthood is the only person teaching sex ed or health or maturation or anything in Utah schools. And this just is completely false.
Well, and they're
Completely
making
false.
it sound like you're ending sex ed in
according
schools. And that's ridiculous. They're making it
Yeah,
sound
so
like we'll
according
no
to the
longer have
state
access
office,
to that.
yeah, so the actual number is, according to the State Office of Education, that there are 4 districts in the state. Out of all of our districts and LEAs, there are 4 who actually use Planned Parenthood services. And when people are calling me, you have no idea how many emails this article created, emails and calls and all the things. And, me and my intern, it's like a part-time job trying to, answer all of those. Anyway, but I talked to this little woman on the phone, and she's like, this is going to be terrible. She was, probably an elderly woman. She said, my parents didn't tell me anything, about sex, and my children all had this. And I kind of laughed because I thought, from what age it sounds like she is, there's no way that her children actually did have this in their classrooms. They might have had some sort of a health or sex ed program, but they didn't have probably Planned Parenthood sex ed program in the school. And I explained to her, I said, ma'am, it's going to be okay. Like, don't even worry about it. It's going to be fine, because there's only 4 districts in the state that are utilizing this. And I don't even know if it's every school in those districts, because according to the number, that would have to be pretty small districts.
What districts are there? Are they? Is Tooele County in there?
I don't actually have the names for you. I could get them, but I don't have them right now. I know, I think I know one of them, because the whole thing started in a district where I was visiting one time about a few years back. Anyway, but so I said to her, I said, but it's okay, because all of these other districts and all of these other schools are teaching sex ed according to the state law, and they're doing a great job, and that's not going to stop. And there's lots of curriculum that's been approved by the State Board of Education that meets state law and that would not put our children in a position where they're having to trust a business with their sexual health decisions and looking to them as, someone who has their best interest in mind. And I'm not saying that the teachers who teach with Planned Parenthood don't have the best intentions, because they probably do. They probably absolutely do. And I'm sure they're wonderful, nice people. But the way that this whole bill started for me was I was at a school, and it was not in Tooele County. Okay. I was at a school, and when I was there was a person from Planned Parenthood who was teaching at the school, and I was very intrigued. In fact, they were handing things out, and I could probably show you some of the things they were. Oh yeah, here's one of them that they were handing out. Anyway, so they were teaching in the school, and I went up to the teacher, and I said, "So, how did you get to be here?" And she said, well, that's easy. Every year, Planned Parenthood contacts every school in the state of Utah, and we ask them if they want us to come teach, because we know that some of them feel like it's really touchy to teach that, which goes to the first part of that article. Could you do this? Could you do this? Well, we can, right? But you don't have to. We'll take away that burden for you of talking about touchy subjects that no adult should be afraid to talk about, especially adult children like me. I would never be afraid of that. Uh-oh. I think my connection has a problem.
We still hear you.
I think my
you
connection
just freeze
has a
once in a
problem.
while.
Did you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I probably should have switched my internet
Nothing
connection.
to be sorry about.
Anyway, so then she said, yeah, we just have to get permission from the principal, and then we can come teach. And I was like, wow. And during this particular teaching that I witnessed, she was actually saying that someone was asking about children acting out sexually on the playground because this school had a lot of special needs kids in it. So they had a lot of neurodiversity and stuff like that. And they were asking about some of these neurodiverse kids acting out on the playground sexually on each other. And this teacher was like, well, it's okay because that's perfectly normal for their age group and stuff like that. And so they were normalizing a lot of things that I was like, okay, wait a minute. We're not supposed to advocate for these types of things. But she just said that's okay. She didn't do a big lesson about it. She just said that's okay. So sometimes the language that can be used, and I don't know all the language that's going to be used because I haven't seen every presentation they've ever done, but it was enough that it made me very concerned. And then they handed out this pamphlet here, and you can see the logo on the back there. Anyway, and this pamphlet is meant for children, and keeping in mind this was targeted toward disabled children.
What grade? Like 5th or 8th? Was this the maturation training or was it the sex ed training?
No, this would be more like 8th grade, but
or
not
7th. Sorry. 7th.
No, wait, hold on. It was the school itself had a variety of ages in it, and I believe they had 5th through, so it might have been a middle school, so they probably had 5th through and up. So, but it would have been for children that were kind of neurodiverse because it says right on it. It says, this is what it says. It says a sexual decision-making guide for persons with developmental disabilities and those.
What does it say at the top? What's the headline on that?
We all have special feelings.
Okay.
I'm just going to read you a couple things, okay? And I hope this is not, I hope you don't get like censored or something. Okay.
Do we need to cue some 70s heavy bass music or anything while you do it?
I don't know. Change my voice. I don't know. Okay, so it says, this is what it says. It says, all people need to be loved and touched. Around the ages of 12 to 14, young people may begin to develop sexual feelings. Touching ourselves can feel good. Touching or being touched, loved, and cared for by others can feel good too. Sexual feelings make us want to be touched, loved, and cared for by another man or woman.
An adult.
Those last little words.
And we all know that. Well,
and then it says
that.
And here's the little picture. Anyway, and then it says sexual feelings are normal and healthy. And then it goes on. There's a picture over here, and it says all people have sexual thoughts and feelings. Mothers, fathers, teachers, doctors, friends, neighbors. So great. Now we're going to think of all the adults in our lives as sexual people. It says you may have sexual feelings when another person touches, hugs, or kisses you. So now I could feel sexual about my parent, my teacher, my whoever. Okay. Because if they care about me or they touch me or they
so far, they haven't said other children or people your age. They have literally said man, woman,
adult. Right. And then on this page, it says, this is where, if you have to bleep me, I mean, just go ahead. But it says, then there's this when they're having a little kiss. Okay. And it says, kissing and hugging feel good. You could want more touching. Sometimes if they both want to, a man puts his penis in the woman's vagina, and this is called sexual intercourse. Kissing, touching, hugging, and having sexual intercourse are things we do in private. Deciding to kiss or touch, hug, or have sexual intercourse should be something you both want. Let's just unpack that, shall we? So what we're doing right here on just this one page, little page 3, okay, is we are saying that people like to be touched. True, they do, because that's a love language, okay? And so if you like being touched and you think it feels good, you may want to have intercourse. And intercourse, touching, kissing, and hugging are all the same. And we should do all of them in private. which sounds like they're keeping children from acting out in public. That could seem nice, but it also could be that they're having them go and hide
Well,
sexual
it could also
activity.
confuse them so that if Corky,
And to do it with adults too, because we've just talked about adults.
so what they're doing is they're making it so they hide it. So if Corky gets touched by old man Smithers down the street, he's not going to tell the appropriate people, even though Corky may or may not be 12 or 13. And old
because
man
it's
Smithers,
natural and it's private.
yeah, because they confuse them and they don't say, look, there are appropriate times for this and appropriate ages and appropriate partners. And old man Smithers is not an appropriate partner. And you should consult your parents before you do anything like this, Corky.
Instead, the lesson is if you consent, it's okay.
No,
So then
not
it
when you're that age.
No, but that's the message. That's the
Right.
message. So if you consent, and then they go on to, and keeping in mind, this is targeting disabled people between the ages of 12 and 14. And it said, and then it goes on to say, do I really want this to happen? Sexual intercourse can make a baby. This is a big decision. Have we talked about it? Have we talked about birth control? Have we talked? That's advocating for birth control. The
Which is
law
against
says
the
you're not
standard.
supposed to advocate for birth control. So anyway, and then it says there are people you can talk to about these questions. So it does list adults you can talk to, and then it says, how important sexual feelings are to be
What
acknowledged.
adults do they list?
They did list mother and father. They
Okay,
did.
good.
Yeah, they did. Minister, mother, father, minister, counselor, caseworker, or staff, neighbor, or just a friend.
So talk about it with staff. Talk about sex with your teachers and your staff.
A little discerning with neighbor.
Hey, they hit all the boxes though. They did say consent.
Yeah.
So that's probably in their checkoff list. All over. I mean, this is terrible, but at the end of the day, it's a conflict of interest.
And these are handed out to parents too, by the way, because on the back it says discussion tips for parents and educators. And so that's how I got one. They were made available to the adults, but they're teaching the adults to teach these things, to the children. So anyway, this is the issue. So that's what I had that experience a number of years ago. And for multiple years, I was like, I've got to get a bill. I've got to get somebody to run that bill. I've got to get somebody to run that bill. And there were a lot of other issues that I kept working on. And so it just didn't really materialize. But I knew that, once I got in, I was like, you know what do I know needs work, right? What do I know? And suddenly this came back to me. This needs work. I know that. And that's something I've known for a long, long time. And so did some up-to-date research and we found their own admission to all of the things. And the thing is they're proud of it because they even have mentioned it on the Salt Lake Tribune now. Yes, we do this teaching. We're awesome at it. We want to do it. But the sad thing is they're making people think they're the only ones that do it. And if we remove them from the teaching pool, we don't suffer any loss whatsoever as a state.
Can I ask how many other private 501c3s are in our schools teaching our kids?
I don't know if I can answer that question for you.
Because this doesn't sound logical.
Does sound
Why
normal.
wouldn't we have healthcare professionals?
Well, there are some groups, probably like Stop Child Abuse Utah. They probably they teach in the schools, and I don't know
my daughter's in health
status, but they might be 501c3. I would think they are.
But I'm saying, and then how many 501c3s in this country get federal funding from people who do not believe in them or believe in what they do? Our state says you can't teach birth control. They're trying to encourage abstinence. Also, in at least the standard that I'm aware with, they don't give you an example of how to put on certain devices and things like that, which would horrify any seventh grader
Mhm.
to have a teacher do that.
Certain
But
devices.
like a
Oh,
contraception.
prophylactics.
Yeah. And this again is where parents need to step up, and they need to have this open communication with their kids. At the same time, not all parents do that. And teachers that do step up, it's so important that they're taught exactly sex makes a baby, and here's the reproductive system. And this is essentially what it is.
We have to be super
you-
careful as we're teaching too, Holly, that we don't say that if you get a baby, it's bad.
Exactly.
We because actually that is just a social construct. That whole
Right.
idea was actually perpetuated by the abortion movement to say if you get a baby, it's bad. Why are babies bad? Babies are not bad. Having a lot of responsibility as a young person is going to be hard, but what we've done with the abortion movement, actually even the contraceptive movement to some degree, I mean, I'm not going to spend my time on a soapbox about that, but
we have talked about that too.
yeah, but we've made it so that people do not think of consequences before they make sexual decisions anymore. And these types of trainings, and I'm not saying that they go to that level. I'm not even saying that. They may teach everything that is just fine according to law. They may. And that's great if they are. However, we should not, because there might be other 501c3s, like maybe Stop Child Abuse Utah, but they're never going to sell our children a thing. They're never going to sell them the thing. They're never going to be a person that you want your child to turn to pay for a medical procedure.
Right. They don't profit off of your children's.
I don't know anybody
decision.
else that does that. That's not going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't, the math's not mathing, and we absolutely need something. If they want to, if the people want to revise sex ed in this state, revise it. If there's something you want your children to be taught by a third party, then that needs to be revised. But Planned Parenthood should not be in our schools.
Yes.
It doesn't go with.
If a parent
with
wants
the logic.
to seek out Planned Parenthood education for their child, they can go down to Planned Parenthood. But on a side note, man, I've been investigating how to build like a 30-foot tall trebuchet. I'm wondering, just a thought.
It's a you know, the thing is Planned Parenthood is reaching children all over the world, the nation, and the state, even without the schools. So yeah, they'll have to double down their efforts to try to reach them in the libraries and stuff like that, because they are constantly doing library things. Planned Parenthood will do private events at libraries for like teens, and they'll say no adults allowed, no parents allowed.
That's
and
not
they
a red flag or anything.
And they will do like a sex ed training in there. Anyway, so, and I know because I know someone who went to one of those. She looks like she's about 15, but she's actually a mom. And she went to one of those, and, you know, and it was very interesting, the report that she gave. So,
so when they make the deal with the devil, like you hear the old stories, you know, they used to be the witches had to kiss under the tail of a goat. Okay. I'm wondering what deal they had to make. Like, is it bathing in blood, shedding lizard skin? What is it?
Nicolene, how can we help? What can our listeners do? What do you need? Because I know you're hearing a lot of bad, but if people want to read your bill.
There's a lot of people who agree. This is what happens with bills. If you want to read the bill, it's HB 233. That's the number of the bill. So if you'd like to read it, you can go to le.utah.gov, and you can, in the search bar, type in HB 233. And then you can read the bill. It's a pretty simple bill, actually, not very complex.
Is it Utah spelled out or UT?
Utah spelled out. And by the way, the part that's really the bill is the part that is underlined or crossed out. Any of the words that are not out are not changing. So
give me the bill number
that.
Again.
HB 233.
233.
Yep. It's shared in the comments. We'll also share it on our website.
Yeah.
Also, we're going to
This is
share.
what happens is when these bills, so I've been inundated with calls and all kinds of things, and I don't know if other legislators have on the bill. I haven't heard yet, but when it starts to go to committee, it hasn't been assigned to committee yet. It's in the rules committee right now. And so when it gets assigned to committee, then that's when you need to send supportive emails and texts and calls and stuff to the people in that committee and tell them how much you support it. It is important because what usually happens on a bill is the only people who take actions are the ones that hate a bill. But it's so important that the people who also like a bill take action so that we can say with confidence, we know that there's a lot of people who appreciate this. And I do know that because almost every single person that I've talked to about the bill, almost every single person has said, that's a good bill. That's a good bill.
Planned Parenthood doesn't need to be in our schools. That's just, I'm not opposed to sex ed in school. I'm opposed to teaching kids weird stuff, but I'm not opposed to sex ed in schools. I mean, I went through it. Granted, back then it was cuneiform and it was carved in stone. There was some cave
part
paintings,
of science.
but
you should know it.
It was different. But anyways, Nicolene,
bill.
we have to cut you loose, Nicolene. We have our next guest on.
1 second.
One
Nicolene, when I know you are updating people constantly on your Facebook page, will you tell me what the name of your Facebook page is that you give updates on?
Yeah, I have an Instagram and a Facebook. The Facebook is going to be the one where you'll see the videos. We just posted the weekly video today. And that is PEC for Utah. And let me just look at it right now, make sure it's PEC and then FOUR Utah. So you can go there and you can follow that page. And I also have that same on Instagram. There's something else I want to tell you before I go. So I'm having a special night for Tooele County at the Capitol. Okay. So at the Capitol on Monday, February 17th. So this is President's Day, actually. And I'm guessing some people will maybe be off work. Maybe some children will be off school, that kind of thing. So that evening at 5 o'clock on Monday, the 17th, I'm going to do a Capitol tour. We'll take you down in the tunnels. We'll show you all the cool stuff because there won't be things going on there. So we'll have a lot of fun. And I've got a special room arranged where we can all sit down. You can fire questions at me, tell me things you care about, like have sort of a town hall there at the Capitol and just, connect with me. So hopefully a lot of people will put that on their calendar. So show up in the rotunda on Monday, February 17th at 5 p.m.
Okay.
And me and the Highway Patrol and, some of the other people will be there and we will give you just a great night.
Do you have an ad made up for that we can share? And me and Holly will be there. I'll be there. I'm pretty sure Holly will be too. But if you have an ad for that you can share, we'd love to share it.
Do you know what? I will get that to you. I'm not sure we actually have made a graphic for it yet. I'll see what's in my newsletter. I don't think we made one for that. But if you're not on my newsletter list, oh my goodness, then you probably need to just email npec@le.utah.gov and you need to say, I want to be on your newsletter so that you know what I'm doing every week. And then I send out weekly updates on that newsletter as well as trying to say as much as I can on social media with the time that I've got.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. That is State Representative Nicolene Peck serving Utah and kind of like a little stab into JUAB. Is that correct?
Actually, that's not me. That's Bridger.
Oh, no, that's Bridger. Yes, you're just Tooele.
I'm just Tooele. It's Stansbury, Erda, Tooele, Tooele, half of Erda, half of Stansbury, and Lincoln, which is their Pine Canyon area.
Yeah, Lincoln is old school. You'd have to dig back in time. All right. Thank you very much, Nicolene. Everyone, we have Patrick Odell coming on next.
Thank you so much.
Patrick is master of all things badassery, and he is out there doing the Lord's work. So we're going to bring him on without further ado. Patrick, how are you?
Hi, Patrick. Nice to meet you.
Great. Doing
Good.
great. How are you guys?
Good.
We're a little fired up after that last interview regarding Planned Parenthood in our schools, but nothing too big.
Yeah. So just lead off. Tell the listeners what it is that you do.
Well, I teach defensive tactics. That's my actual day job. So I work a lot with military, police officers, guys that are purpose driven. What they're trying to do is develop the most current tactics to control somebody and effect an arrest, or even worse, have to dispatch somebody, really quickly. So I work with people on knife specifically. That's my actual specialty. And then some people, it's how to control one and disarm it. Some it's how to effectively use a knife in defense, and then with the military, it's actually offensive. So.
All right. And you just got back from Africa, correct?
Yeah. So my day job is teaching the defensive stuff, and then I work with a foundation that is actual 501c3 here in Utah, and we specialize in countering human trafficking. So kind of a diverse approach. We actually do undercover field operations in several countries, and those lead to evidence gathering and building a target package of who the key perpetrators are that are exploiting children, whether it be for sexual exploitation or organ harvesting or labor trafficking. But once we identify what their tactics are and how they're implementing their control methods and who the key players are, then we organize a takedown with local law enforcement and military in these countries. So,
Hey, Patrick, what's the name of the organization?
it's Children's International Rescue Foundation. You can go to the website. It's thecirf.org. That's the short version. But yeah, Children's International Rescue Foundation. It was formed about 4 years ago by people that are former military and law enforcement and first responder community in Utah. So we all work together with these foreign government partners to close these cases that they're stuck on. So
I'm wondering, when you work with their law enforcement, do you get a lot of support from the local governments there?
we do an overwhelming amount in comparison to what we see here, just because of the way that the judicial system is set up here. It's very difficult to do much more than get the child back to their family, because without an actual first account testimony from the child, it's very difficult to get anything that will result in a conviction. So and to expect a child to stand up on the stand and indicate their attacker and face them and be cross-examined by some defense attorney
That's
basically,
traumatizing.
yeah, it's was everything okay there?
Yeah,
We're
I'm just
showing
showing
your
your
website.
website.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, you're good.
So yeah, basically what it is we get in there and we infiltrate these cases that they're kind of hitting a wall on. So we can take intelligence officers or people from juvenile justice or the prosecutor's office, and we have the support of the attorney general and the prosecuting attorneys from the region. So we're working as a multi-jurisdictional task force. But
That's great. Do you have law enforcement power over there, or are you basically just observers and evidence gatherers?
well, we're working basically as confidential informants. At a certain point, we're certified by the court system there, and even have to do a psychological review to prove that you're fit to, give accurate testimony. And so then we're also, as we're developing our relationship more, we're allowed to use false identities and things of that nature. But we're working in collaboration with the federal and local government of this region. So it's it's a little bit different when they're the ones taking you to get your non-traceable SIM card and all of the things that you're going to be using for your undercover and decoy cover. So this way, nothing's leading back to anything I'm purchasing with my passport or anything along those lines. But that's just one facet. I got back from Africa not because I was working undercover work, but I was training a federal anti-human trafficking task force for Zambia. They're developing their first nationally recognized task force that will address these accounts as its sole focus. And there it tends to be more human trafficking and organ harvesting, but there is
Oh,
sexual exploitation as well. And some of the accounts that I had heard in Africa, in the region that we were in, is the copper mines and cobalt mines. They're working people for $1 a day, 10 cents an hour. So they take these young children and they basically just work them to death, and they're not aware of the conditions that they're going to enter into, where they're kept underground for a week at a time, only given food twice a week, and then they're charged for it, and they're charged for the blanket that they sleep on, and it's what they call debt slavery. So they basically are billing them for everything while they've got them held hostage in a remote location with only this very, very minimal opportunity to work their way out of it. So,
and it's slavery to mine for energy or to build batteries and things like that across the world. I'm assuming. I mean, this is one of the aspects that we don't really take into account when we're having this energy argument. These are children
yeah,
that are slave labor,
yeah,
and the slavery right now in the country, we have more slavery happening than we ever had in the history of our country. Is that correct?
that's absolutely true. The sad part is that we know these are older statistics. I believe 5 years ago, it was said that over 10,000 children per month in the United States go missing. So that's on average
Oh,
200
that
children
makes me
per state.
sick.
So 200 children per state per month are going unaccounted for, and that's an older statistic. I only can imagine it's worse with all of the new influences that we have coming across the border with organized crime syndicates. The very same people that we rescue children from in Central and South America are the same people that are here now. And they're organized, taking over apartment complexes. And I
Oh,
mean,
I
you
thought
guys
that
are
didn't happen. That was fake news,
right,
right?
right. I mean, well, that's the thing. You guys are hip. I mean, it's just that's when we hear of these criminal organizations, even here in Utah, they busted a prostitution ring in West Valley a couple of weeks ago. That was Tren de Aragua, which is a Venezuelan prison gang. That's a bunch of the enforcers were cut loose by their leader and current dictator. So these guys they're rough, you know. That they don't just prostitute full-grown women. Their number one bottom line is based off of child trafficking, and they're here in Utah now. They're being spotted all over. Um, So it's like, there's going to be some radical changes. It's great to see this new administration cracking down on a lot of the criminal organizations and the organized crime that's, you know, I mean, we have our own domestic issues. We've had gangs in all of our major cities for years, but these cartels are just a whole nother monster when it comes to human trafficking.
When
So,
Trump was president before, did he not? I feel like he did some human trafficking bills, and
yeah.
that were good in 2016.
I can't
But
remember the exact number, but I want to say something in the teens. It was 17 or 19 bills
it was somebody
immediately.
finally taking. I
Yeah,
know that Sean Reyes was part of that. He was in DC when Trump was signing these bills. In fact, he
yeah,
was even issuing warrants for sex offenders that were using these countries for sex and traveling American citizens to go to these countries for sex, the
yeah,
purposes so that they could be busted and brought back. And I'm just wondering, like, so many parents lose their kids and never see them again. And organizations like yours are probably the only hope they have. How many parents can go to Africa and go to Haiti and go to these other countries and look for their kids? But these parents never stop looking. Never.
yeah. And it's crazy that you mentioned that because one of the first things that the Biden administration did when they took over was overturn all of those anti-human trafficking bills. It was some of the first work that they did. They wanted to undo anything from the current administration that would look good for them because they weren't the ones to instate it. And then they just never replaced it with anything. So they unraveled several good things that really, there was an attempt to try to make a greater awareness about this and to try to stop it and even set funds aside and task forces aside, and all of that was overturned by the Biden administration. I mean,
I don't want to say it's by design, because that would have to mean the devil himself is running our government. But I really think it's part of that collateral damage that comes out of these things, and stopping the government, like you said, and stopping the vaccination thing and the COVID thing. All this collateral damage, it's like, to them, it's just numbers on a paper. But to you and I, this is our kids. These are the people we love more than anything on the planet. And I'm so glad your organization is doing this. I'm sick that it has to be done. But how many children do you ever go out and look for American children?
So, I was trained by a gentleman that's out of St. George, and he runs a relatively small organization where most people are just all donating their time, similar to us. And, he would do recoveries and transports, and that's about the best that you could hope for, is to get the kid away from this bad situation and either to a treatment center or back to the family. And, but obviously only by families that could
Afford it.
afford it, right? And that's that's so excluding to so many young people that just are, maybe the whole reason they were vulnerable and on the street in the first place is because they don't have a safe home situation. So that's what I often hear with the young girls that we're saving, is that something happened where they felt ostracized from their family unit and they were vulnerable, and they say that as soon as a child is homeless, they're like 4 times more likely to be trafficked, and they're likely to be picked up within 36 hours of being on the street. So these people, they know what they're doing. So so to answer your question, Miss, we're an international rescue foundation, but what we are working on domestically, because there are the three legs to what we do as a foundation. We go undercover and we actually crack these organizations open when our law enforcement partners can't get any further. We also train these federal task forces on tradecraft, how to go undercover, like how to set up a decoy account, how to set up a cover story, how to practice that, how to be deceptive, how to engage with people so that you can get information about them but not be made, and
Right, scare them off.
or get yourself in some dangerous situations, which there are plenty in third world countries. So anyhow, and then we teach them forensic interviewing, we teach them how to interrogate. All of these things are specific to obviously sexual abuse, and we're a child rescue. So oftentimes when we're busting open these criminal organizations, we do rescue several women from an exploitation situation. But to be honest, like, we specifically target cases where it's children involved. So in Zambia, like you were saying, it is children with lithium, cobalt, copper, all of the things necessary for all of these electric vehicles, this craze that we've got going on right now. That's the dark side of the electric vehicle nobody wants to talk about, is that your battery was made with the lives of children. So
I do hope as those nations modernize, they can free themselves from needing that archaic slave labor too.
Yeah, because a lot of families send their kids off because they're in poverty, and these kids end up in the
developing
sex trade.
Countries have always done that. My great grandfather came to America because he was sold, not great, I don't know how many greats, but he was sold into servitude, and that's how he ended up over here. The origination of the family line in the U.S. But no, that's I want to get to some other things with you here in a minute, but I also want to real quick follow up. Are there any like danger spots or any areas, say here locally in Utah, that we know are hot spots for this type of activity. Like we're out here in Tooele, and God
Yeah.
forbid someone's out here in Tooele doing it.
I think it's everywhere.
There's a little bit of a desert out west. I wouldn't mind
Yeah,
showing
I
you
mean,
the beauty of a sunset out there. But is there like hot spots here in Utah that are to watch out for?
As far as trafficking, anything along the 15 because of it going through, the better part of 5 states. So, it's so massive. You could take it all the way down into Los Angeles, and that 15 is going to run all the way through. So, a lot of children don't make it past Vegas. With the gentleman that I was talking about before, most of the people he's looking for belong somewhere between here and Brigham City, and they're running away, and the first thing they do is hop on the 15 and go as far south as they can on the tracks, and then they start hitching the rest of the way. And it's if you really start looking at things like 24-hour gas stations and truck stops, and your any of your hotels, motels that are under $100, you start seeing real quickly that there's a certain type of crowd that they draw in, and it's generally going to circulate around narcotics and prostitution. And then prostitution really is just kind of like a shell game or smoke and mirrors for them to be able to start introducing underage children. So it really is a slippery slope.
And don't they usually get these people drugged up
Yeah, that's part of the
eventually?
debt slavery as well. So
That's how you have to, not only do you have to rehab them from the trauma, but you have to rehab them from the drugs they're fed every single day.
yeah, that's why often it's not just actual sexual abuse therapy. They need substance abuse treatment, and then they also need some type of occupational therapy to give them a fair chance at a regular life. And we're primarily in the prevention and the disruption of the trafficking. We don't provide actual direct aftercare. What we do is we help fund the organization that we bring in. That's goes by the name of Aftercare International. So they're basically an international organization that helps rehome children, and then they also travel around and provide occupational training to the orphanages so that they understand how to receive these children that are in
Can
their
you imagine?
traumatized state. So,
Is the federal government do anything with you? Does the federal government? I mean, I bet a lot of you that are on these task forces are probably ex-military, ex-law enforcement, or still in it. But the federal FBI, do they cooperate? Do they get you into places?
We don't really take any federal or state aid right now. Everything is by private donors. And if I told you how many children we've saved, like our odds right now are better than like for about what it would cost to go out of state on a little weekend vacation, we can save a kid, So it's
okay.
it's
How do we
incredible.
donate?
So
where do we donate? And what do people do? Do they just go to your website?
Yeah, if you go to the CIRF.org, there is a pop-up for donations that gives you an opportunity to do a reoccurring donation, or you can do something that's a one-time thing. And it's a 501c3, so they are tax credible for, getting reimbursed through your taxes. But it's one of those things where like we've had under I think $70,000 in donations this last year, and we saved 34 children and we incarcerated 36 individuals. And that's covering like our plane fare and our hotel in these not real nice hotels, but we have to get there and we have to do the work. That's our surveillance equipment. That's, what it is it's amazing people from this community that are police officers, firemen, first responders, in the medical community. People like myself, I'm a government contractor. I work directly with police officers or military law enforcement, teaching my combative stuff, but that affords me time to donate to a foundation like this. And none of us take a wage. There's no salaries for board members. We all donate our time, and then we go and we do this because it's the right thing to do. And these people just need to be empowered how to do something about it in their own country. So, But lastly, before I, kind of lose my train of thought, the prevention is what we've been working on domestically. Since the reaction phase with the criminal justice system doesn't really allow for us to have steady convictions, the best thing we can do are plant seeds of prevention. So we've paired up with a company called AI Vector, and we're creating a product that's a software called Digital Sentinel. And what the Digital Sentinel does is you can install it as an end user on your home network, and it covers Fortnite and Minecraft and, Roblox and all the chat interface platforms that come with your video gaming systems. It covers your chat rooms, your social media stuff, and it's monitoring your network basically for any type of predatory activity towards your children. And what it does is you give it basic permission to monitor your system, and then it sends you an alert as the parent that lets you know that somebody who's very clearly an adult is talking to your child. Do you know this person?
Oh my
Or
word.
somebody is asking for photos of your child, or somebody's sending inappropriate messages. And if it does escalate to the point of where there's inappropriate media exchanged, or there's requesting of a meetup or an in-person meetup, then it automatically builds a case profile and target package for the individual with their MAC address and IP address, and it locks down all of their information so that we can start to build profiles on these people who are sexual predators online. And so the Digital Sentinel program we're putting out also to magnify the efforts of law enforcement and cyber task forces, because it's not just an end user product to protect your children at home, but we can also use this as a way to use this artificial intelligence for task forces to not operate on a one-to-one ratio where they're kind of going back and forth, feeling out this person with this decoy account, trying to figure out if they're a creep or not, or maybe they just don't know that they're talking to a young person and it fizzles out. So they can set up an unlimited amount of decoy accounts so that they could be phishing in all of the geographically oriented chat rooms for like Yahoo, Google, Bing. All your major search engines will have chats, and then you can click on location in Utah and Salt Lake City, and you can get to where you're talking to people relevant to your location. And if they're willing to come into your jurisdiction to meet a child, now all of a sudden you have probable cause to move forward with a case that's actually going to bear fruit. Whereas in they're overworked. These poor officers have to sit all day and like directly communicate with these creeps. So
And they
it's
have
not
to see the
just
worst of the worst. I mean,
yeah, that's the other thing. It's not just
it's
what it
taxing.
does
It
for
ages you quickly.
multiplying the force, but it takes their psyche out of this
Yeah.
interaction with some psychopath who's willing to violate children. So anyhow, there are amazing benefits to this, as not just um, the psychiatric value, the fact that it's going to act as a force multiplier for cyber task forces, but it's also going to protect households because
How did
parents
we get
know.
this? How do we
So,
get this? This is called the Digital Sentinel program, and
yeah,
I'm putting
Digital
it in the
Sentinel.
comments. Do they find it on the website, or is this a
So,
separate thing?
right now, we're planning to launch this in the next 6 months. So, I'm really trying to get the word out about this because a big portion of our funding this year also had to fund our investment in having this made. So,
This is
it's
brilliant.
been what all I'm saying is everybody's kind of looking for a new organization to support in this realm because of all kinds of controversy surrounding human trafficking lately, and it's we're still working on amazing things, not just prevention domestically, but we're getting out there, we're still doing the work and remaining relevant in the rescue world, and then we're training these amazing new task forces that I mean, they're just so eager to like fix these problems in their own country. They're highly educated, they're highly capable. They're being pulled from Interpol and narcotics and terrorism, and they're all coming together to like pool their efforts to try to fix these problems in their country. So it's a big honor for us to be the ones that go out there and provide them the training and know-how, but we're like operating on a just-in-time financial model. it's
Do you know,
it's
Patrick, I'm a mom. I've got a couple kids who play Roblox and or did
yeah.
play when
Oh,
they
the
were young.
Sentinel will be warning you about
And
you on Modern Warfare.
look, does it monitor Call of Duty? Because I have enough with Activision
Yeah.
babysitting my game. Um,
Yeah.
I swear, my brother's on his third ban. I I think that something like this, the thing is, I think I'm doing everything right. I'm got the passwords. I'm checking their chats. I'm watching them. I even have an account where I go in and join and ghost join them and interact on the server. I'm trying to do everything right. And I hope they're not watching. But something like this, my kids have friends that have had inappropriate people reach out to them. And I'm from a law enforcement family, so I'm probably extra on edge and watching and making sure. But I can't be everywhere all the time. And every kid gets duped because the person they're playing with, that's their friend, is actually a 40-year-old, 50-year-old man and talks like a teenager, acts like a teenager. And then once it hits that line of inappropriate, they're already in pretty close with this person. And there's a lot of forgiveness there. And then they're scared to tell mom because they don't want to lose their ability to play. I mean, there are so many parents listening that are exactly in this same boat.
Yeah.
A device like this that not only law enforcement can use, but it's creating a case so that I can go to my sheriff and say, my child has been chatted with by this person. This person is sending filth. Here's their IP address. What do I do? And let's start taking the trash out in this country. At least getting these people away from our kids. So will this be on the website? I'm going to tell people to watch out for it.
Yeah, and you know what I've been telling people, because I just went and handed out flyers for a week at SHOT Show in Vegas for the
cool.
basically the big law enforcement and military trade show.
I know the show I missed to go to the inauguration that I couldn't see.
Fucker. SHOT Show is one hell of a show.
It's kind of heaven for your tactical folks. So yeah, I've been telling everybody, if you reach out to us on the website, there's an email for contact. If you let us know that you're interested in Digital Sentinel, just mention if you're law enforcement. There's a chance we can get you a beta version to test. Right now we have 3 different departments in Utah that are beta testing it, including an officer with internet crimes against children. So we're in the mode where we've got a product. Now we're just running it through the gamut and just making sure that we can really rely on it and that we're getting feedback from people that are going to use it extensively. So
it's AI.
Yeah, it's AI driven and basically programmed by countless decoy conversations that we've had with sexual predators on our phones that we've just been backing up as evidence in all of these cases. So we were just sitting on a gold mine of data.
So when you're on the phone as a decoy, are you like what, a 14-year-old blonde girl? In there,
no.
Hi.
Oh, so that's
my name is Patricia.
Well, you'd be surprised. So there's
I really don't want to hear about the creepy dudes. We should just
I mean,
bring the
really,
guillotine
for you
back.
to understand
it's
this,
not been gone that long.
It's not bad. It's just, if you were to make like a temporary chat account and you just choose a username, as long as it's not being taken at the time, you could put, Carolyn 14 SLC as the username. And if you throw that up in a geographically oriented chat room that's for Salt Lake City, that's all you'd have to do is just say, hi, how's everybody doing tonight in the chat room? And then you're going to be getting private and direct messages from men that are well over the age of 18, wanting to know if she's bored, wanting to know if she wants to hook up, wanting to know what she looks like. It's like,
you're kidding me.
Just,
and they ask how old they are, and they
so
don't
do these
care.
guys, is that all they do with their life, is just sit on a chat room?
You'd be surprised, because I mean, how many times do they have to be effective to figure out that it's a numbers game?
It's 100. It's 1 out of 100.
There's no accountability on the other end. Like, for instance, if I had to like stick my hand in holes and every 10th hole I'm going to get bit by a rattlesnake, and maybe every 7 to 15th hole I'm going to get gold out of it, unless there's a rattlesnake, I'm just going to keep sticking my hand in holes if I find gold once, right? So it's just human behavior that, like, there's no accountability factor, and these people, that's what we're going to be able to do at the very least. If the parent absolutely chooses to have a police report made, there's going to be a report and an actual history on record that this person is engaging in predatory behavior.
And this program will be able to snatch their
it'll be able to trap all of their information,
their IP, so the computer they're using, their location. What if they have a What's it
If
called?
if they have a VPN,
A VPN.
it'll track the changes that will take place, but it will still be able to probably pull the MAC address. It's hard to say it with the new VPN technology.
I mean,
But
AI is improving the VPN technology at the same time it's improving the ability to track and catch. Technology is a wonderful thing when it's
Man,
unleashed.
I just hope some bored, angry ex-football linebacker right now who doesn't like child predators doesn't say, I got a great idea. I'm going to lure a pedophile to a parking lot and see how much blood I can make come out of him.
There
Well,
are
that's the
actually
thing.
several videos of people doing that.
There's
It's actually
vigilantes.
yeah, that's what it is.
What was
It's
that guy in Louisiana that his kid's karate instructor took him?
We shot him in the head.
Labouche? Was it Labouche? Was that his
Your
name?
French is really good tonight.
I know. I'm outstanding at French. Anyway, so I wanted to also talk about this. So you do training. I haven't attended any of your trainings yet, which is something that Mallory beats me about the head and shoulders with all the time.
This
But
is Mallory's
yes,
Thursday nights or something.
but you also
small
you
world.
also hold free. One of my part of the stuff I train, I want to make it so that there's no more assaults on women ever. I want to see that drop to zero. I'm with old Penn and Teller that when a woman's born, we should give her a pink Glock, and she lives with that her whole life, and that secures her virtue. But you do training of free women's self-defense classes.
Yeah, I used to do one or two a month just because I kind of offer it as a free service. If somebody has a church group or they have like a relief society or, I've trained several women's groups that Mallory's, organized for me because she's got a big outreach with women that are trying to develop their defensive tactics. Maybe they've already done a firearms course, but they've never negotiated anybody up close and personal. And I specialize in the knife just because, though I am a firearms instructor as well, there's a lot of responsibility to managing the collateral when you aim a firearm. And
Right.
you can also have, pass through with a projectile where you're doing everything right, but you still have the potential for collateral if there's not a safe distance behind your target as well. So, anyhow, a lot of the gals that I teach initially, they feel more comfortable with the idea of something that they hold every day already, and that being a knife. It's like they're a little bit more comfortable getting that out under pressure and knowing that they don't have to be so concerned with the angle that it's pointing. And then once I teach somebody how to effectively get a blade to flesh, it's pretty much a done deal.
And you can
So,
conceal a knife pretty easy
yeah.
as a woman and have it and then your kid might get to it, but it's not something that they're likely to hurt themselves with. I mean, women could be very comfortable. When I trained with Mallory, the first thing she told me to do was get a knife, and I was like, a knife, okay. But I see how that's the little one that looks like a T. Oh man, that's better than carrying your car keys around. Walk into the car. Have you seen
you're talking about a punch blade. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
a little punch tagger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm in a place where it's crowded, I've done all the words, I've said all the words, and I'm still apprehensive about pulling out my 9mm. If the guy's coming for me, just a little uppercut to the.
Yeah. Well, honestly, even an inch, there's nowhere on my body I want an inch of steel sharpened up and pushed into my body. So,
I spent a lot of times in a profession, and knives scare me as much, if not more, than guns.
Really?
Yeah.
And getting into a knife fight, you always get bloody.
Well, that's why you bring a gun to a knife fight. That's
right.
The
and
rules,
if I know I'm going to a
Yeah.
fight, I want the USS Arizona in my back pocket if I know I'm going to a fight. Or a nuclear A-10 Warthog would be fine. An A-10 Warthog would be my weapon of choice.
Kind of overcompensating a little. Don't you
If
think?
I know I'm going to a fight, that's what I want.
Yeah, the knife is nice for up close and personal where you don't have to manage collateral, but I carry appendix with a gun daily, and then I also carry my knife at like 3 o'clock. And it's just, I think of it as kind of like a hammer's a great hammer, but it's a shitty screwdriver. So like
Mhm.
if I need something to affect something from a distance, if I'm in a gunfight, yeah, I want a gun. But if I'm in a fight where I have 2, 3 people attacking me at close quarters, then I can cut my way out of that. So
Amazing.
um,
If people want your services and want to have you train,
Say group of ladies, a relief society group
Yeah,
per se,
yeah.
want to put a class together. How do they reach out to you?
Yeah. So my professional website is MCC Defense. My email through that is Patrick at MCC Defense. And then same with Children's International Rescue. It's Patrick at thecirf.org. But
okay, you're
just
going way fast on me. I'm
Oh.
trying to put it in the comments. It's Patrick at MCC Defense. And that's how they
.com.
email you.
Yeah, .com. And then the website is MCC Defense. And then yep, that's it.
What is the MC? Oh, there it is. He put it on the
Yeah.
screen. Okay.
Modern combative concepts.
Yeah, so I teach everything from like ground defense, arrest procedure, knife. Um, I also teach some awareness and avoidance and home defense fundamentals classes that help people to kind of change their daily patterns and kind of basically executive protection protocol and how you can just employ them in your everyday life to elevate your awareness and really see things through a different set of eyes so you're not exposing yourself so much. So,
What is your background? Were you law enforcement or military? What?
no,
Like,
actually, I did this for about 30 years just because I started as an athlete with freestyle Greco and collegiate wrestling. And then after that, I
oh,
went into to Kung Fu at about 20 years old, and then had a master's degree by the time I was 33, which is an 8th degree black belt in Kung Fu Sansu. And I had all these people calling me master, and I was 33 years old.
oh
So,
my word. Is that
um,
all? Oh my
well,
word.
I felt like awkward, so I started going to Krav Maga and got a black belt in Krav Maga. But everything that they do for their stick and knife comes from the Philippines, so that sent me down that rabbit hole. And I teach 3 styles of Filipino stick and knife, and I won the national championship in 2018. And then I also teach another style of defense called Mastro Defense. I've been doing that for about 8 years now, and traveled to Europe training counterterrorism and control tactics and VIP protection tactics and stuff like that. So, I mean,
You're
I've just
kind of
been
a big
doing this
deal,
for,
Patrick.
well, I did it for like 30 years because I love knowing all this stuff. And then about 24 years in, I just started getting these job offers to come and teach. And so I kind of walked away from what I was doing before because I wasn't really happy. And my partner was like, "Look, if money didn't matter, what would you do?" And I said, "I would just learn really cool stuff and find people that want to learn it and teach it to them." so, so she's like, "Well, then we need to stop doing this and just sell this business, and you need to figure out a way to do that because you're not happy." And
That's great.
so luckily, all the defense stuff. I was training knife and teaching defensive tactics for an instructor who ran a 5-day course. And I would come out and teach my day and then leave. And he basically made me the offer to, do the whole course and take a wash on the week and come away with the ability to understand executive protection for children and get certified with an adaptive executive protection qualification so that I could transport children and relocate them without causing any type of exacerbation of their trauma or exposing my own personal liability while doing it. So,
Brilliant.
yeah, so after doing that, then I did like escape and evasion and like a bunch of tradecraft courses, learning surveillance, counter surveillance tactics, covert surveillance techniques, and then I became a youth mental health first responder by the state of Utah, and it all kind of like was centric around handling children that have had difficult upbringings and So when given the opportunity to actually join one of these teams and do the work, it was an amazing opportunity. But they normally don't take people that aren't law enforcement or military. But
Right. You're
um,
so young to have such a resume. I mean, you look very young. So whatever you're doing is good for you. Like that's a hell of a resume. And
yeah,
under this new administration and hopefully Kash Patel and everybody else,
yeah,
I hope there is a focus on this issue that, I mean, how lucky is Utah to have you here? And how lucky is our local law enforcement to have something like this device, this digital sentinel potentially
yeah,
available to them. And we're going into a new age where hopefully we are taking back our children and those cartels that are brutal. They aren't just, hey, they'll execution style like the mafia. They will skin you if
yeah.
you're caught. And
They'll peel your flesh.
we need our law enforcement to be empowered. We need our parents empowered, and we need our federal law enforcement to be empowered so that we can put an end to this. This is insane. And what a great guest you are. This is really, really interesting.
No, thank you. Thank you. It's a big honor to do the work. I mean, I really I knew it would feel good to get out there and save kids, but I really had no idea how it was going to impact me on my level of like gratitude and appreciation for just like the life we get to live here every day. It's, we have the mountains all around us, it's 30 minutes to drive up in any one of these canyons, and you've got pristine nature. We're so blessed to not be facing the opposition that a lot of the world is here. And every time I leave the country for the foundation, I feel like it's a factory reset on my gratitude and
Oh yeah.
appreciation, and kind of knocks me down off my little pedestal a little bit. And um, so it's just, I thought teaching was going to be my end all, and that's what I left my old job to do. And um, I just, getting into this work kind of made all of the training make sense. Whereas I tried when I first got out here to get on board with some organizations, and just really couldn't align with what they were doing. It seemed very reckless, or it seemed inflammatory towards the child. And so at that point, it was just, okay, I'll just train the people that need what I offer, because we're kind of like typewriters, but everybody's so gun heavy. Now you can just blow somebody up with a drone. Knife warfare is not what it used to be. So
I bet you
it's
could teach a lot in London where knives are kind of like the way that don't law enforcement carry
yeah.
knives and not
No, they
guns?
don't.
No,
No, they carry Facebook profiles over in
I'm
London.
just wondering, like,
yeah,
I would
they
think
usually
that
carry a small club,
they could use
I don't even know if they
your
carry that anymore.
expertise. I
Yeah, that's what's incredible, right? Is everybody thinks America has a gun problem, because I'm also an active shooter instructor. I teach for Fight Back Nation, which is another not-for-profit that does amazing work in Utah, and we teach faculty and administration how to combat an active shooter or a school shooter situation. And everybody seems to think that America's got a gun problem, but the moment you take guns away, it turns into a hammer problem, like it is in Greece,
it's
or
a
Yeah.
tool
it
problem.
turns
The knife
into a
and
knife problem in the UK. So violence is violence. It's just, what there is a lack of compassion for
We
human
have
life
a
nowadays.
we
right.
have a society and a culture problem.
Yeah, right.
That's what it is.
That's what's hurting us, and that's hurting us across the board. We had Nicolene Peck on earlier, and with all the abortions and with children being either sold by their parents or running away, those are all signs of a cultural problem.
Well, the
And
fact there's nowhere to take these kids
we
when
need
they're
to
rescued
we need to
because
figure out how to fix this cultural problem. That's ideal. We need to become self-governing people again.
and the
Yeah, and
village that's there for other people's kids. When you see a child that's maybe being abused at home, or, there's got to be something we can do as a community to get around that kid before they hit the streets and hit the freeway and then disappear forever. I mean,
yeah,
human life is so unimportant to people
yeah,
now, and it's
yeah.
so sad.
It's incredibly bad in these third world countries too, where, just the dollar is incredibly powerful. You know, you see people working for $1 a day and they're happy to get that. And then, you know, that same wage, if I go from Africa up to Greece, they're getting about $30 a day, which seems like good because it's 10 times more, but like, you know, or 30 times more. But really it's like the average person here could be making 300 a day if they've got a decent job and had a good education and choice of career. So it's incredibly different when you go somewhere that is making like less than 100th of what the average person here makes in a day, and everybody's barefoot, everybody's starving. Um,
Their
so
water
it's
isn't clean. I mean, we've
right,
said it
yeah,
here.
basic
Americans
basic
don't know
human
what
rights
poverty
act.
is.
Yeah,
The American people don't know what true poverty is. And
yeah,
not that we should ever have to know that, because we are an innovative country and we're a free country and all of that. But
yeah. Well,
until you actually can realize that sometimes clean water, we take it for granted, and there are people that don't even have that. It's
yeah,
And then
yeah. Well,
these children kidnapped. I think the first time I ever heard of this, I was a new mom, and it was Operation Underground Railroad. They did a presentation. I couldn't open my wallet fast enough, and it was so difficult for me to even hear it, let alone see the
yeah,
presentation. I had to excuse myself. Never have I ever had to excuse myself from hearing or seeing something. Like I said, law enforcement family, we've seen everything. And this hit me in my core. The fact that this is happening, I look at homes differently. Like, are there kids trapped in this house? Are
yeah.
there
No, I
perverts?
hear you.
And so, are my kids safe? And how can I keep them safe? And how can I keep my kids' friends safe? And it's like, now they're talking about it over the last 10 years. And we had a
Yeah,
president that was on board with getting it fixed. And now he's back. And so I'm hoping that he goes back to this. I mean, he's talking death penalty for child
yeah.
sex abusers. And that changes the game up a little.
It sounds nice.
I'm
So you know, I don't have
I just don't think it's a
sympathy for him.
offense. It's not an offense that people are going to rehabilitate from. That's the
it's
problem.
they've
Nope.
And
proven
if
there's no
anything, it
rehabilitation.
perpetuates the behavior. Most of these
Yep.
people have been abused when they were young, and it instills this perpetual abuse that really, I mean, whenever I hear about somebody that's a known pedophile being killed, my only one hope is that they didn't reproduce before it happened,
Yeah.
because chances are they're offending on their own children even.
Yep.
And it really is horrific when we hear these stories of children being sold by their own relatives, or they're being sexually abused by a relative, and then that's what caused them to run away, and then they responded to an ad for modeling, and that led to them being abducted and having their passport taken and being raped several times, and then they're being put out on the street and they're being exploited, and this is all at 14, you know. So
Yeah.
these are children, you know. They're not that any person should have to deal with that, but they just never even saw it coming, and their life is over as they know it. So we're able to get out there and disrupt these organizations. We're able to train support teams to be able to come in and keep the pressure on them while we're not there, and to establish more of these cases and get them as far along as they can, because we're limited right now. Like I said, everything's just in time. So we're able to manage things the best that we can with what we've got coming in. But really, you know, one big donor could make a world of difference for our organization right now, because of the 3 open cases we have in South America, the fact that we still haven't fully paid off this AI technology that we're having developed. You know, there's a lot
Hear that,
going on.
Elon?
So
Elon Musk could
right.
donate.
Well,
I
I
know,
want to
it's
say if anyone's looking to make a donation, you know, maybe start off the year on a good foot, get a little bit of tax refund, whatever, for next year's taxes. You know, it's a good place. Go. Yeah,
Okay, let's talk about the website again. You want to put that up
yeah,
there?
I'll pull the website up and just go in there. it looks like the donation is as simple as they could make it, a big blue button right at the top. If you want to donate, also when this program opens up, I mean, to think if a child goes missing and the police can make a call out and say, okay, we know this child went to this chat room, and they could come to this program and say, can you pull us up IP addresses that had
the
interactions with this child, and they would automatically have
game
a packet.
changer.
But go to the let me
Child Rescue Operations or Children's International Rescue Foundation.
Yeah, go to
CIRF.
you can, or the short version is the CIRF.org.
Yeah, CIRF.org, and if you go there, they've got a donation button right up at the top, and it's made pretty easy. I mean,
right. You can $10. I bet you could do a custom amount. You could do $5. You could do $100,000. How long have you guys been around? And you say that 100% goes to the mission?
Yeah, if you even go to like Give Freely or any of these websites that monitor not-for-profits, none of our board members draw a salary.
That's huge.
We have had occasions where somebody will fund a whole mission, which could be $35,000 for like us to go out several times and solve an actual case. So they'll fund the whole operation, and we've had times where somebody will donate some extra money to like be divvied out to the field operators, but like I said, it hardly covers what they're making being away from or losing being away from their jobs. So, but none of the board members draw a salary. We all donate our time to the foundation. I just spent
It's amazing.
the better part of 21 days on the road between being in Africa, and then I came back and I had 12 hours at home to do laundry, sleep, and be back at the airport to go to the trade show for Vegas, just to fundraise and shake hands with a ton of people in the industry that I've worked with before. Because of my private business, I have a lot of contacts, and I've just been letting them know where I've been, because I haven't been doing my little, dancing knife monkey thing on social media lately, because I've been kind of doing all this undercover stuff and training these people. So it's been interesting, going down there and letting people know the work I'm doing and getting a very genuine, organic interest and concern and even product support. We had several companies that we use their products for field operations, like Faraday bags and tourniquets and things that we use for our medical stuff. And people were just like, you write me, remind me who we are when we talked, and I'll send you whatever you guys need. And they're doing everything they can to show support that we have the best technology, the best stuff for surveillance. It's just, we got to get direct financial funding. I mean, that's the big hang up with these organizations is, the universal skeleton key that works in all situations, and that's what we need for plane tickets and for hotel rooms and the stuff that it takes to get our guys in the field. So
be nice to have an airline kind of somebody international that's a sponsor, and it would be nice to have a lot of big corporation sponsors. And the thing is you're a guy that actually stands out. You've got the tattoos and stuff, and how do you go undercover in these countries? That's got to be an art itself.
And to be honest, a lot of these places don't even have good Wi-Fi signals.
Okay, well, there's that. We're not hurting you by blasting you all over the internet.
And not everybody's running around with a cell phone in front of their face in these third world countries. You can go to any major city and find nice areas, but it's an entirely different culture, what I'm dealing with. Most of the people are in a place where it's dark to begin with, where they're being kept in a place where they're not getting out and they're not getting into the public very often. So a lot of these are nightclub settings where basically anybody who's walking around on the floor who's serving drinks or anything is basically available if you're willing to pay enough. So
what about the perpetrators? These cartel lords, these people, they probably have to have their guys watching all the time. And I hope every single one of you that is perpetrating this against a child knows you're talking to this guy who can bring a knife to a gunfight and still win. I hope
Well,
everybody thinks that way, that every single person that is, soliciting to our children online, I hope that every single one of them realizes there's another person now and the technology is
yeah,
here, that you're talking to a guy just like you, but only the good guys.
yeah,
And
that's
they're
what
going to
we
get
are.
taken down.
We're predator hunters, you know.
Oh, I love
That's
it.
so we basically I was running around SHOT Show with my Predator Hunter hat on, and it was just starting all kinds of conversation. What's Predator Hunters?
You
Because
got merch?
there's a whole hunting community. These guys have bow and arrows and stuff, and I'm like, no, 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 the humankind. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like,
That's,
oh, okay,
we need to do a
So
show like Dog the Bounty Hunter, but Patrick the Predator Hunter.
It
We're
has
missing it.
it has
I mean,
been a
it really is that I have an amazing team behind me of guys that, they're all making sacrifices. They all have
Right.
full-time jobs that, these folks, it's hard because, they've been doing it a lot longer than I have. I'm kind of the blood transfusion, and fortunately I can be a multi-tool. I can do the operations or train the task forces or, do an appearance like this,
Or
but
be with the kids, and once
yeah.
they've been rescued, and I mean, you are multifaceted in your abilities. I
Yeah.
imagine you're an asset. How big is the team? How big? I mean, are they looking for members to come and help,
We
donate
have
their time?
we have been assessing people. That was another benefit of SHOT Show. I had at least three gentlemen that came up that either had a military background or not, but they're going to be either retiring from law enforcement or they just retired. So there were a couple of gentlemen just looking for somewhere to put their unresolved energy. They're not ready to retire at life. But they don't want to sit at home, the whole time, and it gives them something that they can dedicate their time to and feel like they're taking their whole lifetime of experience and applying it to something that matters. So we are assessing operators. We do a training in the middle of May, but obviously it would require an extensive background check and credentials that, I'm not saying a civilian person is out entirely, but it would take a very unique situation that, to get them
Like
to.
yours?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is I've done TCCC. I'm a firearms instructor, like pistol, rifle, shotgun.
You're like a
This is my
unicorn.
thing. It's my thing,
This isn't
and
normal.
I would do this even if nobody paid me to. So it's kind of nice that the money's going in the wallet instead of out of the wallet for all the hobbies I have. But all in all, it's just we're still looking for people. It takes fresh blood and circulating people out of the field. There's not a long shelf life to the people who do
Yeah.
undercover work at this capacity. It's extremely hard.
The
And
people, the law enforcement that I know that have to work sex crimes online, that is a shelf life of maybe
yeah,
2 years, and they have to get
no,
out of that. And I'm happy to pass your information along because I have
please,
the beauty
please,
and honor
if
of
they were
knowing
to
lots of law
contact
enforcement officers here in Utah.
Yeah, if they were to contact the website, we can definitely, if they're in cyber crimes or special victims unit or something that's working with, cyber technology and they want a beta testing version, that's something that we've been offering to people who are qualified to use it. We can't, we're not giving this decoy account version to the public because we don't want
Good.
to encourage vigilante behavior. So.
What about do they have to be current certified Cat 1s? Can they be retired? And what like basically if they're retired law enforcement or they're in law enforcement currently, do they have
It's
to
going to
retire?
depend on their department. We have several officers that belong to either a department where there's a policy against any type of undercover work, even with a foreign country. So, what it is in the community, because of some blowback with certain organizations that have turned out to be either not forthright or, people committing unwholesome acts, there are there's a lot of liability for a department to carry by being directly related to one of their officers doing this work, and there's no benefit. It's not like they're going to be out there going, all of our officers are out there in their spare time saving kids in foreign countries.
Yeah.
But yet, if one thing happens, even if it's not with that officer, if it's just with the organization that the officer is connected to, now it's like they're worried about all the potential liability and blowback on them. So there have been memorandums that have gone out basically limiting what activities they can engage in. They can do administrative tasks, they can do things of that nature, but they would chance losing their job if they
Yeah.
go out into the field. So we have people that are giving various degrees of support. We have a gentleman that just tried to get on with us, and he's being received very well. He has a lot of great ideas about getting us some public grants and federally funded grants and things that we might qualify for because of the technology aspect of
Oh
one of our
yeah.
investments. And so there's a lot of cool stuff on the, but I'm not over here slowing down or relinquishing the pressure, because I feel like going to SHOT Show, developing a couple hundred new relationships, letting them know about the work that we're doing. It's like, I think keeping us in the forefront of the media is what's keeping us relevant and reminding people that we're still doing the work, because it's already that big pink elephant that people don't necessarily want to talk about, and
Well,
it's
Absolutely.
it's
not
not
real
just
warm
that,
and fuzzy.
and
So
you can't parade your victories out because your
No.
victories are wounded children.
And I keep
right,
thinking that every day that
You
goes
can't
by,
you
there's a
can't take a wounded child and say, "Look, I just rescued,
I
this
know
kid, and the kid's
it's like
hurt."
feeding the homeless on my live feed or something. I get
You
you.
know,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think about
it's
that any moment there's a child somewhere in the darkest corner of the world, in the dark, and who's suffering in treacherous conditions, and there's nobody that's coming for them in their minds. They don't have hope. They've lost it. And to know that there's an organization out there in Utah and national organizations and these people who just feel in their soul this is what they need to do, and they'll give up hours at work, or they'll give up what they other things that they do to go find that kid. That is the best. That's like Captain America in real life. It's
yeah.
better. It's better
Well,
because you guys don't wear tights, probably.
I just had two officers that literally took 9 days of unpaid leave at the beginning of the year. They haven't even accumulated this time off yet. So they had to take 9 days of unpaid leave to come to Zambia so they could teach the interrogation and forensic interviewing and the case studies and how a case is built and a concept of operations. It's a team of guys that I work with, and it's like when I watch their sacrifice, for me to leave 9 days out of my schedule, I just make it up whenever because I'm self-employed, and
Right.
as long as I don't have a government job, then I'm good. I'm on call. So, but when I watch these other guys that have families, they have all these other prior commitments that I don't have, and they're taking 9 days of unpaid leave to go and teach this, I'm like, it reminds me that I'm right where I should be, and that there are other people like me that have priorities beyond the zeros in my bank account. And I've worked myself to the bone, and I wasn't near as happy as I am when I see these guys holding their mugshot photo, staring at the ground in sheer embarrassment. Because you're right, I can't count the victims and feel happy about that because it's not enough. But for every guy that we put away, knowing that they're not going to do that to another person, let's say an Ecuadorian or a Peruvian or a Colombian prison, if you're doing more than 3 or 4 years, that might as well be a life sentence. These guys are doing 25 to 35 years. Yeah, so they're not going to hurt anybody else again. And they don't have protective custody there. So they're going to go
Yep.
into general population.
Yep. They're getting the
As-
O-rings blowed out.
But
yeah,
I was
they're going to
wondering.
get dealt with.
I just wonder,
So,
can we get a life-size poster view to put at Grantsville High School on an unrelated note? Go on.
I was wondering with if you got the government of these countries backing you, because I know some of the other organizations in the past, these guys were getting caught, and because the government was corrupt, they were getting out before they even saw the next morning. This makes me happy that you're working actually with the government of these countries, and these people are actually doing time.
yeah, that's why I'm really looking forward to a change in the tide with our politics here, because trust me, if I could wake up and do this work here and not have to spend 25 to 45 hours each way on an airplane.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's hell.
like Africa
Probably
and
in
back
coach
was
too.
over 40 hours. Oh yeah. Well,
But,
it's donations. I'm not up there in first class, I assure you.
Elon Musk, get him some
I'm
money,
eating
please.
I'm eating
before I,
curry in the back of the plane.
Ugh,
oh,
that
I
smells
just,
So,
awesome.
I've just got to ask though, does it feel like there's like, I wonder, you see it everywhere. Is it the 24-hour news cycle, or has this always been a thing?
Yeah.
Does it feel like it's been a 100 years
It's
of
come with the
insanity, or is it?
internet
I think it's
too.
independent media is a big factor, not just the fact that we've had TV or cable. You know, I remember having network TV for as long as my childhood, right? Then the black boxes and all that kind of stuff, right? But really, now that we have independent media, I think that people are willing to take those chances and talk about firsthand
No,
events, and it's not filtered.
well,
It's
not
not.
just that, but that it's happening.
The predators.
Has this always
No,
been a thing?
it's always been happening. That's what I'm saying. I think that we just have more of a vibrant, independent media
We
now
just
that's
hear
willing
about
to.
it more now.
Yeah, and this stuff gets hushed by mainstream. Think of all of the anybody from the
Well,
UK for the last
um,
20 years has known that the royal family is full of incest and
well,
child molestation, and
yeah.
think about the Catholic Church. All of this stuff gets subdued. It's just nobody stays with their thumb on it and keeps twisting. That's the problem, is that after a while they just expose it and then they back off because somebody comes in and slaps somebody else on the wrist, or somebody loses their job for talking about the big pink elephant that nobody's supposed to talk about. And think of the Boy Scouts. Think of all of these different organizations that they have histories of all of these issues, but only recently are they developing policies within the churches and within the scouts to where
Mhm.
you can't be alone with a child. You know, it's just to acknowledge it any other way is almost like an admission of guilt. And that's what we're running into in this country, is for them to acknowledge that there's a human trafficking problem. It's to say that I have this black eye and we need to talk about it. Like, you know, and really here, it's not good for tourism. It's not good for Park City. It's not good for Moab. It's not, you see
It's
what I'm
not good
saying
for
here?
churches.
It's yeah, it's not good for the faith. It's not good for the fellowship. So all of this stuff tends to get subdued because it's difficult to talk about. And I think about it like anytime I see like ACAB, like all cops are bad, or you know, anytime I see that like you know white people can't be racist, or whatever, you can't be racist against white people, or these things where it's like all or never, you're probably wrong, you know. And with what we've got going on here, there are no bad organizations in the sense that I think all Boy Scout leaders are bad, but
Right.
there's this human element that needs to be monitored and it needs to be looked out for.
In
And
every
you
facet
know,
of every
really,
organization,
there
every
is.
schools, every neighborhood.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
that
where I
10
was kind of
to 1
inspired
rule.
by your, you know, it takes the whole village. It does. I don't even have kids. And I'm out here rescuing kids like wherever they'll send me and work with me, and we can actually effectively do it. It's just to get people to acknowledge that there's a problem. It's incredibly difficult here because nobody knows how to deal with it. There aren't specialized task forces for it. They feel like their hands are tied. They don't know if it should go to the attorney general or the FBI, or it'll get bounced around for 3 days before it even lands on somebody's desk who's willing to
Yeah,
pick it up.
government gets in the way. We've seen a lot of that. You know, I've marketing for you. I think that your organization needs to make little stuffed pink elephants. And seriously, and that should be your little logo with the donation,
Yes.
the pink elephant in the room, because you give it to the child you rescue, but it's also a logo that says, we're talking about it, folks. It's here. We're going to talk about it, and we're not going to have shame, because it's like the
Mm.
rattlesnake in the whole thing. It is a
Yeah.
numbers game in every part of our culture. It's they're predators among us. They're all over,
Yeah.
and
There
they
are.
have a great mask, and they usually surround themselves in good deeds, public deeds. And that's because that's how a predator protects itself. And
Yeah.
we need to shine light on it, on the behaviors, on the activity, and then we need to have solid cases put together. Let me sell this product for you. I'm ready to sell it for you.
No, I actually think it's a pretty good idea. It's very witty, and I mean, I can't say enough about how we have so much going on here as an amazing country. We're a cultural melting pot. But let's face it, it's like we've kind of had like a mad chef throwing all of these incredible amounts of unbalanced ingredients into this melting pot. And like we have tons of cultural influences that haven't assimilated here. There's a rise on sexual assaults and attacks anywhere that's accepted a large amount of migrants. I know
By
this because
100%.
I've been
At
dealing
least.
with this for over 10 years with going to Belgium, going to France. It's just, you see this everywhere where there's such an influx of population shift and immigration that the culture is not getting to assimilate into the ways of the country that they're entering into. And in a lot of countries, it's like, it's it's considered a rapeable offense for a young woman to be wearing shorts or to be out
Yeah.
after dark or like,
Or-
In Europe.
Well, not just some countries,
Yeah.
but some cultures that have been brought into other countries that's a normal for the
Yeah.
young ladies to wear. How about Sweden right now? I just read something today. Sweden has had an average of, what was it, 2 bombings every day for the last 31 days. And it was 1 bombing every day for days before that. And it's because an influx of
Like
migrants,
terrorism?
they set up mafia style and they're bombing businesses that aren't paying their protection money.
And in Germany, in Europe, or England, in some of these countries, rape has gone up by 300%.
Yeah, it's
That's
And
what I'm
then
saying.
these other areas of America, where, I mean, rape in New York has gone up, rape in Chicago has gone up, because these cultures they see women as property, not as human beings, and
it's
they take.
not just the culture, but let me put it like this. If you're accepting a migrant who's going to come over here and start a business because they're a valuable person leaving their country with their own money and setting themselves up with their own income and their own capabilities, you're gaining a person who will enter into your society and be a boon on the society. If you are accepting people who are coming over here because they're, migrating because they want economic difference, or
Free
they
stuff.
don't even get along well with their own country, they're not going to come over here and be an economic or a societal boom on your country. They're going to come over here and they're going to be outcasts, and they're going to be rebels, and they're going to be shit bricks just like they were back home.
Yeah.
Well, and you have countries releasing them out of prisons and mental institutions just to get rid of the garbage. Like,
that's insanity.
You take them.
Yeah. They're pushing them out and directing them here. And, that's the other thing, is the process itself acts as a filter. The fact that you got to be able to speak the language, you have to be able to recite the Declaration of Independence. You have a certain amount of things that are expected of you if you want to gain citizenship here. And those things are not undoable, and it actually makes me feel bad for the people who came here and did it the right way. And they're being put in this incredibly uncomfortable situation of having to watch other people get to just waltz across and be given everything when they're working really hard to provide a new life for their children, and they did things the right way. I've tried to explain to people for a while there. I almost got Belgian citizenship and just brand dual citizenship before COVID. But after COVID, I don't really travel across the country or, across the Atlantic too much. But I was teaching out there and doing a lot of training. And for me to get a Belgian citizenship, it's like a year-long process. I have to be able to speak French. I have to be able to drive. I have to be able to prove that I have money, that I have a way to make money, and that I have a bank account. So it's like there's like a whole slew of, like, I can't just like go over there and be like, I live here now, and
It's true.
and receive material benefit.
And pay me.
and pay me to do it.
It's just like the old adage that no one hates a bad cop worse than a good cop.
right.
It's the same thing with immigration. The people that did it the right way are getting so tainted by the people that are doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I feel this way about our politicians that allowed this mess. It's hard to put the toothpaste back in. And all of this could reflect poorly on Trump if it's not handled just right. And yet a lot of people are going to be upset. And we were talking earlier about the fear mongering now the left is doing about the immigrants that are here. And the people who did it the right way or who are married and are still going through the process with this, and they're learning the language and they've got basically a sponsor for them. I mean, there's a way to fix this, but the damage that not one kid, not one woman, not one man should be suffering from these people that shouldn't be here. And that is the hardest part, is that there's DUIs happening every day and people are killed, and the person who killed them had no business being here in the first place.
Yeah. You got Lake and Riley. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, this is not a one-off. I can say that I saw a reel the other day with like 15 women that have been killed by undocumented illegal immigrants that were in our country, that they were raped. Some were raped and then killed, and others were just killed. So,
and it's
just, this is an epidemic, and it really is a cultural issue where they're coming from a place where life is cheap, and there's a lot of sexualization of Western culture in the media and in movies, and even with pornography. A lot of this stuff just makes people think that these acts are okay, or that they're warranted. So it's incredible. It's sad for me, because America is turning into what even Belgium was and the UK was, 5-10 years ago. It's the same pattern. And
the difference is we're goddamn citizens. We have our weapons.
right.
Yep,
We still have our
that's the
guns.
thing.
I am not a subject.
Now, that's why I say there's the human element. You can run into bad people in all facets of life, but anytime somebody gets all hard on the police, I'm like, okay, well, if you came home and your place was broken into and somebody that you cared about is hurt, who are you going to call? Like, you're going to call your posse? You're going to call your boys? I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to call the police like any rational human being.
Look at the state of any city that defunded their police. How are they doing? Any one of them.
No,
Poor citizens and business owners in those cities aren't happy. That's for sure.
We got a few comments. You mind if we go? Do you know a Jordan Lott says, hello, Patrick?
Oh, no, I don't know. I can't see the photo too well. But.
Yeah. Jordan's on here quite a bit, but he says hello.
Hey, Percival, welcome back.
Jordan.
Yeah.
We missed you the last few weeks. Percival is our
troll.
local troll, but he's not wrong. Jewish. Well, I don't want to even say that, but
he said, did a laser shoot down a plane in Philly?
A plane crash in Philly. I saw breaking news while we were on here, but my phone is dead. Do you think I could borrow your charger?
Yes.
So we'll get into that. But Percival, welcome back, brother.
Yeah, good to see you.
It's not a show without that.
Keep it G-rated, good sir. Please.
And I have been filling the comment section with a lot of your information. I hope that we can help get you some money and help raise some money. Have you thought about going to CES, or not CES? Oh my gosh, the conservative movement trade show that's happening in Washington. Is it DC?
CES?
You know, I haven't.
CPAC?
CPAC. Gosh, I'm thinking of the tech show.
You've got me so confused.
The CPAC. I could see a lot of people getting on board with you at CPAC. Glenn Beck, maybe he'd sponsor some.
I haven't. I've basically just been going wherever they send me, and I mean, I have an amazing support system of people that are around me, like, Mallory being one of them. I've got a ton of people that are great supporters, so they've just been extending their network and trying to get me in front of people like yourselves, where I can tell our story and let people know the work that we're doing. I really feel like in the industry right now of countering human trafficking, especially with children, there's just a void that needs to be filled. And I feel like our organization is doing everything we can to do that with what we have. And, just getting the word out about the foundation has been kind of my personal mission because especially with the unique situation of all of my fellow board members and operators. A lot of them, like I said, are current law enforcement or they're um, fire chiefs that are SWAT guys and all these kinds of high profile jobs
They're
where
heroes that don't wear
yeah, I mean,
capes.
that's the thing. They just would rather not have the exposure so that they're not getting hassled by their chiefs and by their bosses. So I've just been doing what I can to get the word out there and let
And
people know.
military too, maybe, huh? I
Yeah,
mean,
we've got a ton of former military guys, nobody that's current right now. I do have a couple of guys I've been personally training that want to do our operator training, because you could be amazing as a soldier with a rifle or even a police officer with a pistol, but in these undercover situations, you're not going to get any of those fancy tools.
Yeah,
So,
and
well,
you kind of have to be a scumbag too.
it's
And
not about
yeah,
that. It's a
yeah,
it's a different package for every operation.
you've got to
yeah,
sell a certain idea to these people. Undercover work is harder than people probably realize, and it could go south anytime. So you got to be able to defend yourself
yeah.
quickly. So that training
Usually
is
the first thing I'll do is I'll stop into a little market and get myself like a fruit knife or something that's small and concealable, but
And
it'll be enough.
excusable. Why do you
Yeah,
have a
I mean,
fruit knife? Because I'm gonna eat fruit. You
yeah,
know.
it's like utilitarian, and
Hmm.
when I have that, I can usually hide it in my waistline, or I can put it in the bottom of my shoe, and I can get through security, and I can get to the bathroom, and then get it out and put it where I can access it, and so it's nice that I have the skill sets if things go south, and I'm still an asset to the team. We've had people with the best of intentions, but just can't verify that they'd be good in a pinch. So
that's so interesting. I mean, it just sounds like you guys are really focused on doing this right, and
Hmm.
that
yeah,
is crucial.
yeah, there are a lot of organizations out there that are, with a strategy that they're doing is questionable or borderline, unethical, but we're able to work in collaboration with these law enforcement professionals and meet the requirements of their prosecutors going in and undoubtedly prove that what they're doing is illegal and they knew it. So
If
it
Maybe.
feels. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say maybe the correct idea for um I don't see why law enforcement agencies couldn't hire off the market for some of their deals. Like, obviously, they wouldn't want to hire a civilian organization for the takedown, but for the intel gathering,
right, this
I think
this
that's
program.
exceptional. I mean,
Well,
that's
believe it
where
or
you're going to
not, like
find.
narcotics units and other task forces will still use what they call a confidential informant.
Hmm.
So you could say that we're operating in a similar capacity for these foreign governments. It's just generally we're acting in collaboration with them on information that probably came in through an informant. So
Yeah.
they tend to be working street informants that have some reason that they don't want this in their neighborhood, or they have a family member or someone that's been hung up in this organization. And so usually we have pretty good intelligence going in to start one of these
Plus,
cases. But
you have the history and the training that's probably so important that maybe they don't have in militarily or law enforcement wise. Like you're bringing in expertise and experience. And if anyone out there is really good at writing grants, get with him because there's got to be so many federal grants coming open, hopefully, because I know Trump wants to focus on America first, but I
yeah,
would love to know that we've got organizations helping here in the country as well as our law enforcement, but they've only got so much funding and out of tax dollars. And grants are, I mean, if we're going to give money in federal grants, let's do it to people protecting our kids
Not to the hamster fight club.
and are doing it along the lines of the Constitution and the expectations to build an actual case and to have provable evidence and
yeah,
actually find these predators. Because I'm sure a lot of these predators are probably predatory in Europe. They're the consumers of this disgusting pornography that's going on, child pornography. It's the United States is the consumer, right?
Yeah.
They're the
Yeah, a lot
ones
of
feeding the
times.
machine that these people are going out to process these girls or these young boys just to make these movies for people to consume in the United States. And those those people consuming it need to be arrested and put away.
Agreed. And that's what we're really hoping with the digital sentinel. The possibilities really are endless. It's just
Oh,
a
it's
matter
an
of
amazing
wherever
idea.
you can get it planted, it starts to detect this behavior and starts interacting and just knows how to adapt. So it really could change the future. It's just, I think that it's amazing that we're using AI to do more than just make funny memes and, stuff that.
Yeah.
Or Terminators. I mean, everyone's afraid of a Terminator, but what if that Terminator is a child sex predator
Yeah,
hunter?
the Predator
And
Hunter
The
2000.
Predator Terminator.
Terminator 2, where he's actually the
Yeah.
good guy.
Yeah.
Folks, if you want to do something good with your day, please consider just throwing some money their way and or tell someone about the show.
Yeah.
Somebody tell Elon Musk that these guys have a amazing idea and they actually have the ability to actually do something with it. They've got the
Yeah.
knowledge and the experience and the skill. And let's get some big donors to back you, because I mean, there's so many companies that are looking for somewhere to do good and to get their tax write-offs. I mean, this is just a great option, I think.
Yeah, go to the CIRF.org, right in the very top, big blue button. I'm going to share it on screen right now. There's a donate now. There's also it looks like hold on, let me
Like
get
a
this
child
sharing before you
safety.
can. Yeah, there's a child safety online section. I mean, how that's got to be the most important right now, because that's the hunting ground for these creeps.
School districts who have every single kid sitting on the laptop on their Chromebooks. If a school district purchases technology per district, and just to protect the kids, because a lot of parents don't love that their kids on a device, and they're trying to protect kids from not seeing certain things. And something like this, where maybe the child doesn't feel like they've got Big Brother on their shoulder, or that the child's information is not being, used or sold or anything like that.
Yeah, that's the
But
beauty too, is it automatically boots the child right out of the conversation and then blocks the individual. So you pretty much like are protecting the child 100% and they can't re-access that individual. And then it basically just allows for
That's
them to move
amazing.
forward with digging
Do-
themselves a deeper grave.
Do
So,
they then act as the child and
Yes.
and see?
Yeah.
This is amazing. This is genius.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's why
this technology is being developed here in the States, because you're not doing
it's
it overseas,
no,
because
we're
they'll
doing it
steal it.
right here in Utah, with a local AI partner.
That's
See, and
fantastic.
we've got our own silicone slopes here, and now
Yeah.
we're going to watch it pay off. And one kid, I want one kid. I would take one kid, because I can only imagine the hell a parent is in losing one, let
I
alone
know.
there are thousands.
That's literally the same thing I said when I started this is, because I was dating a girl and I had helped raise her daughter for about 4 years, and she died in a tragic car accident pretty close to when I was given the opportunity to do this work. And I was like, man, if I could just save one family from losing their kid, and because I didn't know like if I would be able to do this and be able to do it over and over again. And but it was like, well, even if I just save one,
Right.
then it's worth whatever I go through. And then it just kept going. So like this year I was personally involved in saving 14 kids, and we saved 34 as an organization, and put away 36 predators, and have trained 2 different task forces with the type of information it would take to move forward stopping this kind of stuff. So this is
How
just
many
since
years have
I've
you
been
been
on.
at it? Is this the first year, or?
So I'm about a year and a half into this foundation, and then before that I was training several of the guys that belonged to it, and that was kind of how I got pulled on board, is because I knew other fellow officers, um, and like I said, I have like my DoD clearance to be able to work with military intelligence and DoD intelligence officers. So I just kind of had all of the right background to
Yeah,
where
you're a unicorn. I'm telling you. You're probably really rare. And I'm just wondering, how long has the organization been going?
about 4 years now. Yeah, and
Okay,
most
so
of
it's
our
still
guys
pretty
have
new.
been. We have guys that have been doing this for, I think, on the upwards of 7 or more years. Some of our guys, for other organizations before this one, and just they wanted to do it the way that they knew worked and preserve their law enforcement partner relationships. So they founded Children's International Rescue Foundation, and the rest
This
is
is great.
history.
I
So
mean,
Mhm.
imagine funding a thing 4 years ago after Trump had all that stuff in, and then your organization comes, and then Biden comes along, and you're basically got
He's making
shades
work
on
for
now.
you.
It's all the
yeah,
obstacles in your way, and now the sky's the limit. I hope for you guys
yeah.
to save more kids, and hopefully more people learn about you, read about you, and share this video, and maybe share, just talk to your neighbors about it, about this
Yeah,
organization, and
it's anti-human
and
trafficking month this month. This is the month to
yeah,
really get out there and be an advocate and raise awareness, and just ask the people that are pivotal in your communities, whether it be the churches or whatever your values established with. But for some people, they have like a sewing group, or they have a book reading group, or I think it's important for the whole village to come together on this and to have it be in the front of our minds, especially right now with so many cultural changes and all the different stuff that we're facing with desperation across our country, with the homelessness population, the mental health issues downtown. It's just, we're in an incredibly delicate state right now, and things haven't balanced back out. It's just getting started. So,
Fred said
Yeah.
behind the Walmart in Twilla, on one of his comments. Everyone knows an area of town where
yeah, I mean,
probably
any
kids
of
are going
Glendale,
missing.
any of West Valley, any of Ogden, I don't even leave Little Midvale here or West Jordan without being strapped. If I'm going downtown, I've got my gun. I've got my gun, I've got my knife. And I don't even look like somebody you'd want to, start something with, but
No, geez,
but that's implying that everybody walking around down there is rational.
the
And we
mental
know that's
illness isn't
we know
rampant.
that's not the case, right? So I always just make sure that it might not even be me. I'm not gonna allow for something horrific to go down while I'm right there and could stop it. So thankfully we have good Samaritan laws here, and I feel that I can be a protector in my community. I really believe in the values here in Utah, and I feel very blessed to be a resident of the state here. So,
You need to get yourself a pink elephant, a stuffed pink elephant. I think that's it. Let's
keep
talk
it
about
keep
the
it right
elephant
up
in the
there.
room. Moms, start talking about the elephant in the room, and everybody, organizations should shine light on it, because no one is free from it. Nobody can say, hey, that's never happened here, because it
Yeah.
is far more popular than we even realize. It could be in your
Yeah.
backyard, and it's in your home if you've got internet.
Absolutely.
It can
That's
come
the thing.
right into your child's bedroom, right
Yep.
there, while you're in the next room, and it's terrifying. And I think we do need to talk about the pink elephant
That's
in the
why I
room.
worked real hard to
I
try to have
agree.
an ugly kid.
Doesn't matter. You need to have a smart kid that doesn't need people on the internet to like them.
Yeah, one who doesn't fall victim to seduction. The number one factor is keeping your child with a very, very elevated self-esteem, so that they know
Elevated
that,
self-esteem, secure with their family.
yep,
If
so
you
they know they're
can,
beautiful, they know they're
yep.
smart, the
Remain
seduction.
married to your spouse.
Yeah.
The most hazard any child has in this world comes if they've got a single mom that's on the dating
Yep.
scene.
That
It's the
is the
most
number one
dangerous
factor for
thing.
predators, is that if they don't have a dad that looks like they'll do anything about it.
Mhm.
It's like that's the number one target on their back. So,
And that's if their dad isn't a predator. I mean, in this day and age, we have to foster the culture of family and the family unit, but he needs to be back in family. And honestly, people have to know that our children are our most precious resource, and they're not just a number. They're everything to our future, everything. And they're not being treated as such. And we're trying to make them grow up so fast. And the internet is, I think, that probably one of the leading causes of this stuff happening in all the crevices of the world. Because like I said, there's a consumer and there's somebody producing that content. And as long as there's a consumer for the content, they will produce it.
Yeah.
And that's just despicable.
No, it's absolutely true. I mean, that's why screen time should be monitored with children until they earn the right to have otherwise. And then also, like I said, these types of programs, we're actually talking with a couple of child cell phone companies, seeing if we can integrate this into cellular technology so that it could even be covering the kids while you're not there and they're away from the network. So we've got
I
some
might
big
even get my
things in
kid
the
a cell
works.
phone. If that's on the table, I might even get him a cell phone.
Do they still even make those kids' cell phones?
My kid had one. Yeah.
Do they still make them though?
Yeah.
I remember they used to have
They look like
them.
a smartphone.
Yeah, I've heard
but
of them
they
having
can only
ones that,
call numbers you put in, and they can't get online.
Yep, can't get online and basically can't turn off the GPS tracking as well. So
And my kid hated it, but I got him one that looked like an iPhone so that he didn't stand out, and he could take pictures and he could send text, but he couldn't get online. So if someone sends him a GIF or a YouTube video, he can't watch it, and he wants a real cell phone, and he's going to be 15, and we've just been adamant. No, I'm not going to do it, but
no, I hear you.
it would be nice. Is there a back end solution to this product that gives the parent the monitoring and not some entity in the sky? Is it, or is there
No,
a
that's what
database?
it is. It's going to alert the parent. The only reason that I believe it alerts law enforcement is if they're engaging in felonious criminal activity. So if they send like inappropriate media, or they send like an inappropriate adult video or something along those lines, where they're actually engaging in pornography with the child, then they've crossed that red line. So
Well,
at that point, it would
even if
notify law enforcement.
Even if they don't, if it builds a profile on the bad guy, like say he gets a hit off this kid's whatever and that other kid's whatever, you keep coming back with the same IP address. That's someone
That's it.
It's multiple.
when they step out of line, you've got a big packet to bring into court. And
I think the unique feature to the program is that it actually prioritizes the threat level of the child. So it's basically like one would just be that it's been made obvious that the person is over 18 and that the child is under 18.
That's what I was
So
wondering.
this is
How
already
does it know?
it's already an inappropriate interaction, considering this person doesn't know the child personally and they're interacting with the child over the internet. So it's already like a level 1 priority. Then level 2 would be there's fantasy driven conversation. So like there's this interaction back and forth about, oh, you're beautiful, or you seem smart for your age, or you seem more intelligent than other kids that I've talked to, or whatever type of fantasy driven conversation.
Or don't tell anyone.
Yeah, or like, starting to ask personal questions, things along those lines escalates it to a level 2, but it's still not a high priority. No law has been broken. Then when you think of like a level 3 priority, that's going to be based off of the fact that there's inappropriate requests or exchanges of media. So can you send me a picture of what you look like with no shirt on? Can you send me a picture of you naked? Here's a picture of me. Here's a picture of my genitalia. Like any of these things, if they're identified by the program, then it's automatically going to have already worked on separating the child from the conversation and building the case package and target profile. So
would a person have to opt in? Like it wouldn't be like a department could run everything in their jurisdiction perhaps, but a parent would purchase it and opt in to have, and then they tell the service, this is a 15-year-old girl. So that the data is known by the AI this is a child's number, a child's phone,
you're
and the
putting in
parent
the
opts
basic
in.
information so that the AI knows what it's supposed to emulate.
I
So
got you.
does that make sense? So
Yep.
you're only giving so much profile, and then the beauty of it is the child gets to see, or I'm sorry, the AI gets to see how your child interacts with other children. So there's like generally slang and slight misspellings and all kinds of little nuances to like. I mean, think of the way we talked when we were little and we thought we were cool, and our parents didn't know what we were talking about half the
Yeah,
time. So,
skibbity toilet. That
Yeah.
one still gets
yeah,
me.
yeah, or
But
no
I don't
cap,
want to.
right?
I know
So,
there's a constitutional side where it's not like Big Brother. You're choosing to get this on your
Yeah, this
child.
isn't something
yeah,
that's
you're
just going to
choosing to put
automatically
this on
come.
your computer. What they're doing, that the law enforcement side has the ability to build decoy accounts and actually
Right.
plant them into different like locations within the internet
Is
itself. So they could
so
put one in Facebook chat for Salt Lake City. They could put one in Facebook chat for West Valley, for Tooele, for whatever. They could plant them
They're everywhere,
anywhere
folks.
in their jurisdiction. That's the beauty of it, is now they just hopefully will just give up, as
Well,
far
yeah.
as like, as far as this being a fishing spot for them to hunt for unsuspecting children. So
well,
they can
TikTok.
basically run an unlimited amount of decoy accounts based off of like their manpower to observe them and their processing speed. So
well, is this going to be, you said, available for a computer,
iOS.
yeah,
iOS, Google?
we're hoping to have the law enforcement side of it settled within the next like 5 months or so. It's already been being beta tested for about a month. We just need to actually develop cases that lead to probable cause, that lead to convictions. But as soon as we have a handful of those, then we're going to release the law enforcement side. And we're already talking to some major distributing partners for that like distribute other software for law enforcement agencies for their dispatch or their chest cams or other aspects. So if that gets picked up by something big, if you see our website just disappear one day, it means that we got that magical donor and we don't need to be having our
Mm.
information and faces out there.
Now
But
you're doing mass
um,
rescue without
right.
yeah.
That's the thing, is I already had to be a little leery about showing my face all over these podcasts, but at the same time, this is what we need right now. So
Yeah.
I've backed off the undercover work, gotten more into the training side of things. If I do go into one of these operations, I generally wear a hat, got a different shirt, cover a higher collar. I'm doing everything I can to manage my exposure, but the
But
other thing
exposure is what you
is
need right now.
it is. It is. That's why I've kind of been like the Swiss Army knife, just kind of doing the exposure stuff, doing the handshakes and elbow rubbing. And then if they need to send me somewhere to train people, I go. If they need an operator, then I go. But it's just, it's hard because we have about a dozen people that are hyper dedicated, and then we have another dozen that are kind of on standby, and we really only reach out if we can't fill the obligations. But it's we're all pretty dedicated and focused on what we're doing, so
Well,
it's
I'm so grateful. I'd
Yeah,
like
thank
to
you.
say thank you for your work, and I'm sure that you gain more from this than anyone could ever really understand that's not in it. And I know people in law enforcement that you couldn't tell them not to do the job because it's inherent in them, in their soul. And you can tell this is like in your soul. And that's, they couldn't have a better person speaking and asking for money. We've had you way longer
Yeah.
than we thought.
Yeah, thank you very much,
This has
Patrick.
been a great show. I'm
And,
so excited
yeah,
to meet
my
you.
pleasure.
Finally, we've heard great things. I've heard great things
Yeah.
about you, and just to put the face with the name now. So, Mallory, thank you for
if you ever need to
sharing
get
the info.
information out again, you've got my number. You've
Thank
got an
you.
open invite.
I
We'll just have
appreciate
you
that,
come on
Jared.
and yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're here to
that's the
help.
thing. We're gonna have a big year. I mean, we're already just into January, and it looks like I'll probably be going to South America this next month. So we're getting down to it. So we do appreciate the support. Anybody considering supporting us, and don't be shy. If there's even just product support or something along those lines, we do auction based fundraisers a couple times a year, and sometimes it's hard for people to part with cash, especially if they're in a developmental phase with their business. But we found that people have been donating, like we got donated a gun safe from SHOT Show and a firearm that somebody's going to allow us to raffle off and sell through an FFL. And there's just been a lot of support in the 2A community. So
I'm seeing a pink elephant with a heart with your logo in it for $10 on your website. I would buy it. I'd buy 2 of them and stick them both in my kids' room because I really, really think it doesn't even have to be pink. It just has to be an elephant.
Yeah.
And then the GOP gets involved and says, hey, we can get behind you. And it's an elephant logo. I mean, it's all fitting. Let's market this.
Well, everyone, I mean, just, if you got it, $10, go on there. Yeah. Shoot $10 at them. Go to thecirf.org, and the donate button's easy to find. You don't have to dig around for it.
It's right on top.
It's easy to fill out.
Yep, you don't have to go through the pitch.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of sells itself. I hope people will do it. And thank you for your time.
Yes,
we've taken so much of it.
No, it's my pleasure. Really, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And
Thank you.
hopefully I'll see you soon at one of the shooting events.
Please.
You need to do knife training event.
Yeah, I should do knife training, but like I said,
you already mastered shooting.
I'm afraid of knives. I'm not afraid of me having knives.
I don't think he stabs his client. Do you stab your clients? I don't think I don't think he'll stab you much.
No, not with a real knife.
You don't get all stabby.
All right, Patrick, you have a good night. Everyone's Patrick Odell.
Thank you so much.
Again, just to go through go to thecirf.org. You've got Patrick's his own website, mccdefense.com.
It's in the comments on Facebook.
Yep, they're all in the comments. If you have any questions, if you want to have him come train your knitting club or your book club, anything like that. And I think every woman should pursue some form of
and it's free.
Aggressive defense, because
or do you charge?
Usually what I'll do is with these women's defenses, if we can book it a couple months out, I'll do them free of charge up to 2 hours, and I just do them as a service to the community.
Yeah.
So,
and every woman, ladies, you should pursue this, because a large portion of your ability to defend yourself is in your mindset. And by pursuing these trainings, you can gain that mindset. You can gain that ability to unleash the aggression.
What age is the youngest you'll train? So like if
I like to start them at around 12 to 13 and up, depending on like intelligence level, just because at that point they're going to be dealing with a full-size potential aggressor. And,
right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. That mindset training is important. I run into people out here that have never been into a fight and they can't imagine having to hurt somebody. But usually if I mention, like what why don't you want to fight back, and it's because they think they'll make the situation worse, and
they'll make it worse, or they don't. They've experienced their whole life holding in the aggressive emotion. You don't let that out in the office.
Or how about you find yourself in front of a jury in New York City because you decided to fight back. I mean, that's
don't
the fear
live in
people
New York
really
City.
have.
That's the key there.
Yeah. And what I'll usually do is I'll relate to them about either a child or, someone that they've been placed in charge of. And then you'll see like, well, imagine you have your niece or your nephew or your son or your daughter or your grandchild and they're being assaulted. Would you tell them to just let it happen so that it doesn't make it worse?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden there's like a furrowing of the brow and a tightening of the jaw. And so it's generally not too hard to like kind of scrape and dig it out of somebody and get them back in touch with that primitive nature. Yep. And
they just need to pursue that training. They need to recognize that they have it.
Yeah,
all right.
And that's it. Just getting in touch with it, being capable. So.
Well, I need to get my health in order, and then I will go take one of your classes.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. Everybody have a good night. Have a good weekend.
With him?
Yeah. Well, we'll hang out for 2 more minutes just to mention something. But thanks again, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick.
Again, anytime, man. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
So there was an airplane crash
Yeah.
in Philly. We
Yeah.
had that one in DC.
This one looks like a 6-passenger plane from what I could read.
Oh, like a little smaller one, a Piper Cub or.
You know, I was scared. I was telling someone, like, my fear about the inauguration and all of that, I was thinking, like, with the drone sighting, I thought maybe a drone would hit aircraft. And I still think we need to get some restriction or some regulation out there to protect aircraft from training. Oh my gosh, we had all these comments.
Yeah.
Great show. Thanks, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Yep. Mallory, sorry, we just noticed we need to network.
We were watching our YouTube. Sorry.
Yeah.
But these drones and the restriction and the argument comes up. How much airspace above your house is yours? So I heard it was like 400 feet. Like, people can't invade your airspace. You own the land, but it's no longer land to the heavens because now we have air travel. And I'm wondering, you know, if you see a drone in your backyard, I don't know, that's very quiet.
It's not just Mallory. Mallory's very important.
It's in your, I don't know, looking through your daughter's window. You can't shoot it out of the sky because of, I don't know, fire a firearm in a neighborhood or whatever is illegal. But I got a burner that I could use and knock it with a pepper ball. But I want to protect my property.
What about they're making those anti-drone rifles now?
But is it a firearm?
Nope. It shoots
a net?
No, not a net. It shoots electro disturbing. I don't know what it does. It's magic. It's electric magic. And they shoot it and it knocks it, and the drones lose connection, lose signal, and they fall.
And then it becomes a civil issue because you destroyed someone's
drone.
Care. I don't care. I don't want
in the window.
In my windows.
And what did he prove? I didn't destroy it. You know, just like you weren't flying it, aiming at my daughter's window, I wasn't errantly squeezing the trigger on this thing that doesn't, because I understand firing a gun.
Yeah,
you know,
because of the collateral. That,
yep, and even a pepper ball gun, I understand that's still throwing a projectile out. This thing just throws out magic electricity.
I like magic.
You know, I don't know if it's a radio. I don't know what it does. I know that every country right now, that's one of their main pursuits.
Somebody in the Soundsbury residence page, and I'm sorry if you're watching and I don't remember your name, mentioned they were sitting in their hot tub with their wife and noticed a large drone, didn't hear it before they saw it. It was quiet and a large drone that was in their backyard. And by the time he was able to jump up and go towards it, it took off. A number of people have reported drones. I get the hobby of drones. I get the photography abilities and all of that. But when you're in somebody's personal yard, I don't think what you're doing is probably good. I mean, I can see being hundreds and hundreds of feet up in the air, but when you're right by people sitting in a hot tub, that to me is
you've crossed the line.
Nefarious. And
I think the minute you're, look, I even kind of have a problem. Like if someone goes out to a remote area and sunbathes, if people are there watching them, like yes, there's no expectation of privacy, but I think be civil.
There's a portion of my backyard where if I'm going to get out in the sun, that's where I go because it's not viewable from my neighbors. It would literally take someone climbing my fence and all that. But I don't assume I'm not going to have a drone over me. By the way, it's not
still just
nudity.
Don't be creepy people. No, okay. Hold on. Mallory, are you sporting a hernia right now?
Yeah. What's up, girl?
What's up with that? Yes. And we do need to have GOA on. GOA is a group that I find near and dear and I find very important. Gun Owners of America, if you're looking to join a firearms association, they're number one. I know the NRA. I think the NRA is.
For people watching on YouTube, they have no idea what you're talking about. You're referring to a comment.
Yeah.
Read the comment.
Oh, Mallory says, by the way, Jared Hawley, we still need to get a hold of GOA, Gun Owners of America. They were thrilled about Tooele when I told them about the good folks out there. And that's because the people of Tooele like firearms.
They love
And
firearms.
so the NRA takes a lot of heat. So I'm thankful for them for that, because they are the poster child bad guys. Although the NRA works against gun owners about 65% of the time.
I did not know that.
Yes, but gun owners of America, those are the boys. Those are the ones that are fighting all the fights. The Bruin, that's GOA, not NRA. We shouldn't advertise that, though, because let them keep going after NRA. GOA flies under the radar, keeps putting big wins up on the
They're
board
the
for us.
shield.
They keep bringing the trophy home, and they keep protecting our rights to remain citizens. That's the most important part here. Remaining a citizen requires you have the ability to defend yourself. And it says a lot about a government. I said this to our congresswoman when I was in her office. I says, it says a lot about a government to allow the populace to maintain the ability to overthrow them.
That
That's
is
very
literally the American plan, that the populace was in charge and not the government.
Yep. She also says the booth, she's talking about the NRA booth, was empty at the SHOT Show. That's called a clue. Yeah, the NRA has been, they've been on board with writing. Now, maybe they're just semi-invertebrate. So when the government says they want to take away a firearm part or a firearm function, they jump on there. But the GOA, they stand firm on everything. She also says, but Tooele and the folks of Grantsville are wonderful and have a bigger voice than they think. Well, that's because of good people like you, Mallory. You're awesome.
Well, and we've got good people in office representing us that are actually engaged with their voter. And we got people who are willing to stand in line for 2 hours to be heard. It's such a nice community out here.
What's the bill? Thomas Massey just put a bill in. I got to remember the name. To
Anti-seismic, anti-Semitic.
Thomas Massey. No, that's just HB on National Constitutional
Constitution. It's time we had a bill on that. That's all I got to say.
Constitutional Carry Act. Boom. Thomas Massey he's the hero we need. Okay, Thomas Massey introduces National Constitutional Carry Act to protect right to carry firearms in all states. HR 645. Okay, everybody, get a hold of your congressperson and tell them you want the support for HR 645. So that means we got to call Celeste and tell her to support Thomas Massey on that.
I don't think we'd have to really twist her arm. Our state already does this, right? This would make it uniform and nationally, so you don't have to read gun laws before you travel.
She has the only loss she could have with this is with the greater Republican Party. And that's Thomas Massey and Johnson aren't enemies, but they don't skip arm in arm.
Well, good. I like a little bit of
well, I like Thomas Massey. I'll tell you what,
too.
Thomas Massey is he's the perfect senator.
Wasn't Rand Paul out of Kentucky too?
Yes, Rand Paul.
It's Kentucky, man.
Oh yeah.
You guys are
Thomas
winning.
Massey is a perfect congressman. Rand Paul is as close to as perfect senator as they get. And you just can't. Yeah, but everyone.
This makes sense. States should all be in line with this because it is your Second Amendment.
That's
it doesn't
right.
matter what state you live in. Your Second Amendment should stay the same in every state.
Now, I want to throw out there, just across the hallway from our congresswoman is the office of the great congresswoman from, what is it, Brooklyn, New York?
Yeah.
AOC. Anyways, but yeah, she's right. And could you imagine her head exploding? Okay.
Oh, Fred, thank you.
Yes.
The law says that if you're walking down a sidewalk and look over between the fence and see the nude sunbather, you've not violated the law. You're in a place you were allowed to be, looking in a direction
Mhm.
you were allowed to look in. You are fine. But if you step up on a large rock to look over the fence, that's voyeurism. I would think that a drone is a similar overt act, making it a violation.
Perfect.
I think that sums up
And
the drone thing, because
so we need to start, but I think they're going to have to figure out how to add that. They're going to have to word that in legislation so that they start pursuing that in courts, just like they had to when the internet first came out and weird stuff that was going on there.
but look at it this way. With David talking about guns on drones, right?
Mhm.
Why would I not, as a citizen, and this thing is in my yard, so now it's over my fence.
Is it
Why
illegal
would
if
I
I have a
not
drone that
assume-
hunts other
listen.
drones?
Why would I not assume this drone has a gun on it and is a threat? And why would I get in trouble if I took action to shoot it down or get it down?
Okay, you can't shoot it down.
Well, I mean, shoot in the sense that I take a projectile and knock it out of the sky. So a paintball,
Okay, still,
a
even with
slingshot.
even with the paintball, you're still sending a projectile
In
where
my
you
yard.
don't know where it's going to land.
I don't care. It's a paintball.
And
I'll
what
clean
if
it up.
and what if that paintball knocks out someone's window
I'll pay for it like
in
I
the
would a BB
middle
gun.
of winter and they don't know where it came from and you don't know where it landed?
I don't care.
Now,
I
that's
shoot
why
a paintball in my backyard. I'm not worried about that. It's not killing anyone. If I break a window, I'll pay for it. Just like my kid hitting a baseball over the fence, I'd pay for it.
sure you would if you knew it hit someone's window and broke it.
Yeah, and it's a paintball. So
Okay.
there'll be paint.
Okay.
And the neighbor will post on the residence page, hey, I got paint on my window. Who shot my window? Either way, a beanbag gun. Thank you. Again, a projectile, a rock.
I would go for one of them, some kind of net gun. That'd be ideal.
That's still a projectile.
Sure.
And I'm fine with all of it. But
I
we
am
need
too,
legislation that will explain how high above your property is your property, because they have to outline it, because we're in a world where, right, you can't firearm. We understand you
Mhm.
can't discharge a firearm in city limits. I live in unincorporated, the county, but again, city limits.
You can't discharge a firearm within X amount of feet of a house.
So I'm wondering,
And it depends on the firearm, how close the feet are.
if legislation decides you own property, how high above your property do you own?
Mm.
And then how are you able to defend it? Because drones are here. They're already
What
happening.
do you do if a satellite flies over and takes pictures of you in your backyard?
A satellite is, you mean in space? Right. There's Google Maps. I mean, there's people that are photographed.
I know.
It's not my backyard I'm worried about.
used to
It's
be on
my
Google.
windows.
I used to be on Google Maps at my grandma's house, waving to the car driving by.
That's cool. This one is different. A drone can get under what a flight on an aircraft can do or a satellite can do. They can get right up to your windows. They've got cameras on them. And I think there's a chance that they could be used for an ill purpose.
Oh, 100%.
And
I agree,
think
100%.
The American citizen should be told right now, because what Trump said, or what Caroline, his person, said about the drones in New Jersey, they were being flown and to be used for research. And eventually people who were enthusiasts loved the hype and started sending their drones up too.
Yeah.
And drones are here. I'm still shocked that a drone hasn't collided with an aircraft, because
Oh, there probably has been.
it's a real threat.
It probably hasn't been, because I'm sure geese collide with aircraft on the daily.
But a geese is wildlife. A drone is
Still, but
Person.
I'm sure drone get smacked by aircraft all the time. They just don't hurt the aircraft, so no one knows.
yet. The drones are huge. So what I'm thinking
when
is
you get bigger drones, you have to go through FAA training to use them.
the enthusiasts in New Jersey had large drones.
How
and
big?
The ones that were
Those, I'm still confused about that drone.
I'm with you. I still think it's
I
shady.
still think most of all that
but
is.
Fred says it needs to be drafted up in law with
Yeah.
specifics, and that's where I'm at. We need to probably get someone to do a bill, and it's got to be federal. It has to be. Airspace has to be protected. Our military zones have to be protected. Any airport.
Well, they are. Remember when Chris was talking about out there at UMC when he did
But UMC has the rule.
the droning out there? Yeah. So military space, you just can't fly a drone over military space.
Then what was New Jersey?
I think that was hysteria. Mostly.
They had drones over
Mm.
that were seen. We liked drones for scouting, SWAT raid targets. We just flew by quickly, taking video without causing suspicion. I mean, there's an absolute purpose for drones. And I think the average citizen who's sitting in their hot tub look over and see a drone low enough to see it, quiet enough that they wouldn't have even noticed it if it didn't have lights. That is scary.
No, I agree. Well, I don't say scary. I say creepy. And it's almost worse than scary.
You're right.
But we do have to kind of close the show down because I have to wake up at 3 a.m.
Oh my gosh. Why don't we just stay up all night and you just.
Because I work tomorrow. And
I'm just teasing.
Yes.
A warrant, yes. And that's where it falls within the law. And that's what the laws have to be specific. So we should probably talk to Bridger or Nicolene about this. But we should probably talk to Celeste about this because it should be a nationwide thing.
I would rather have laws written locally because let's not clutter up the baby.
I get it. But
I like local
Second Amendment
laws.
law that they're trying to pass nationally is within the Constitution.
No, that one,
this would
that
fall
Second
under the
Amendment
Fourth.
law is uncluttering the baby.
I know, but look at the Fourth
The
Amendment.
Fourth Amendment protects you from who?
The government.
Correct. Now, the drones that were flying over the hot tub,
Some of them were the government,
over the hot tub,
not this hot tub.
the Jersey stuff. I still think that was.
No, I'm saying that the government, if they have their regulations, then the common citizen can regulate also.
Sure. I would like to see an anti-drone law put forth, and it would be shot down, but let's put it forth. I would like the government not to have predator drones that they can fly. Matter of fact,
What?
let's just write it up that
I want the government to own
No, no.
drones.
I want them just not to be able to utilize them within the boundaries of the United States.
How many feet above my property is mine? That was the big question. It used to be back in the olden days that you owned from the land to the heavens. And now that we have airplanes and things like that, it shrunk down a bit, but they're still 30,000 feet, right? So now it's like, I thought I heard the word 400 feet above your house somewhere. But again, like Chris was doing the drones at UMC, and I just remember talk there. UMC had their rule, the airport had their rule, and UMC could monitor their own airspace so that people couldn't bring drones in without paying for that permit.
Yeah.
So right now we're kind of in a weird place. And then David's talking about putting a gun on a drone. Well, why shouldn't I be able to protect my home with a drone that has a gun on it?
Oh, put a drone hunting gun on your drone, and your drone goes up and hunts drones.
You love drones. I think we're getting sleepy sillies over here.
No, I am. Well, I've been up since 2 a.m.
You're doing the Lord's work.
I know. No, not really. I'm doing.
Well, with this podcast,
Right.
I feel like
But
we
anyways,
really got the word out about this amazing organization, and Patrick, and then Nicolene and her bill. Go
Yep.
check it out. And
Thomas Massey, his bill. Mallory actually brought up a good point. Shot shell that fires a net. So you could
invent it.
theoretically come up with a shot shell that's primer fired.
Invent it. Don't tell anyone.
Oh, I've got something coming down the pike that I invented. But
Don't talk about it.
oh, I can't wait
Invent
till
it
it
first.
comes out.
Patent it first. Invent it. Make the prototype, and then talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
This is America. They'll
It's
steal
gonna
it.
make me a 100 air.
Oh my God, you're going to make money off it? Congratulations.
God, I hope so. All right, everyone, have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
We love you. Thank you for your support. This has been a fun show. Great guests.
Yeah, 10 gauge or an 8 gauge. An 8 gauge would be ideal because you could add plenty of lead. It's wide enough, plenty of net behind it, and you're just primer firing it, so it's not like a regular 8 gauge where you're losing.
All right, get a room already. You have to get up early.
Yep.